Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel, and we are going to start a short series of what if my life as Ketchum in the Pokemon anime series. So what will happen if a reincarnated person got into the body of Ash Ketchum from the time of birth, and what will be the changes in the series actually when a person no story happened to in the body of the protagonist. Well, I have to say this series will be a blast if you haven't seen this one, and many of you guys has said me about the voice correction, so I'm trying to get it better. And the main thing for today video is please subscribe the channel if you hadn't done that, turn on the bell icon for the more and interesting videos which are upcoming in the future, which I am working on. Actually, I am working on Dragon Ball series, especially a big romantic one, so just wait for some time and I am going to upload that real quick. Anyway, let's start this one.
I died. I was killed by speeding truck. Currently I am floating in an enclosed beam-like structure. I can feel a very weird distorted sense of energy within me. It has no current uses. So there are three possibilities. 1. Heaven, Hell 2. Coma-induced visions and hallucination 3. Reincarnation by truck. Sama personally I am hoping for the third option. In the other two options I can't do anything, so let's assume that this is the third option. Then what? Which world am I even in? I would be fine in most worlds, but a few will wreck me. I always hope for the best but prepare for the worst. I just realized even though I have the wisdom and experience of a 14-year-old, all my memories are gone. I can remember all fiction that I have read and the basics of my life, but I am very detached from them. It's like watching someone else's memories. I guess I can consider myself a newborn with extra info. Now since I can't use time skip no jutsu, I started playing around with the pitifully pale bluish energy. Existence of an internal energy rules out a few universes, but since I am a realistic bastard so I won't hold hope. Sigh. I always hated seeing cultivation MCS try and do nothing but follow the already known route in the fastest way possible. Also they did not even try and condense the energy to make it a higher quality. If I ever end up in a cultivating world, instead of hiding my level with items, I will simply take my time to condense the energy as much as possible. So what if I was a bit slower? I would always be much stronger than anyone else on my own level. Currently I have 3 major goals. 1. Find out which universe you're in. 2. Make the energy as powerful as possible. 3. Find out parents or relatives unknown period of time later. Today, Lady Luck has oh so gloriously smiled at me. I finished the first and third goals. My hearing had been growing a lot. At first all the noises were very distorted, and as time went on, the voices became clearer and clearer. The first things I noticed was that one of the voices was saying two words again and again and again. I finally understood what those words meant. They were, Mr. Mime, yay, Pokemon World. Pokemon World is a safe world with only one criminal empire per region filled with cute girls, friendly rivals, douchebag rivals and a few weirdos sprinkled in. While I love the franchise to death, literally, I hated the wasted potential of Aura. I have a lot of theories regarding Aura and Mega Evolution, Gigantamax and Ash Greninja being interconnected. The fact that it was so underused pissed me off. Also the sudden stupidness showed by Ash pisses me off. In the beginning Kanto, he was a complete moron both on and off the field, and as he went from region to region he remained a bit kiddish but got smarter and better on the field. This made complete sense and I love this progression, but, and it's a big but, he remained a moron off the battlefield. He did not mature beyond the Hoenn region and performed a few moves so retarded like Lightning Armor Straptor, grinding only one Pokemon for a gym fight of 3 battles. All true. He also got smacked around by Misty. I dislike her strongly. Hell, in the first episode there was a censored scene where after fishing him out of a river, she slapped a 10-year-old kid for no reason. This is actually true. The fact that Brock just up and left his position without so much as a letter to the league. The fact that he didn't advance on Serena one bit. The fact that his Pikachu that defeated multiple fucking legendary Pokemon and lost to a fucking level 5 Green Thumb Snivy just made me throw the anime series in the trash. But not anymore. Since I heard the word Delia, that means I am either Ash or someone from his generation from Palette. I am gonna get the girls, kick Gary unless I am him in the ass and beat the champion of each region and live however I want. Enough ranting. There are 2 possible energies that my power is. One option is Aura, another is psychic power like Sabrina. I am leaning heavily towards Aura as it is more versatile in the Pokemon world. In any other world psychic powers would beat Aura any day, but here Aura is the way to go. Also another thing I hated about Pokemon is that the trainers don't train themselves. Imagine you were a Pokemon caught by a trainer. He is forcing you to work your ass off and train and he is lowly gauging in the fields. I would most likely just break the Pokeball and run away. I mean, what kind of hypocrite wants their Pokemon to train but they want to sit on their asses all day long? No matter if this is a dark version, anime, game or even the comic version, one thing stands true. Power will help, so I go back to condensing and improving not equality and quantity of my energy. At the same time I send a large amount of energy to strengthen my body. I increased my muscle density, bone density and nerve reaction speed along with many smaller changes. I don't want to think of a team right now. It doesn't matter that much what Pokemon you have in the early game, and by the middle and end game I could get most Pokemon I would like. But just to pass the time I started to think about my dream team. 1. Charizard Mega X. What? Fire Red was my first game, or Blaziken or Infernape or Pyroar 2. Greninja or Gyarados or Dreadnought 3. Tyranitar or Tyrantrum or Metagross or Garchomp 4. Bakavolt or Gengar or Alakazam. 5. Aegislash or Snorlax 6. Lucario or Decidueye unknown period of time later on I finally woke up, after birth. I shall spare you the surprisingly gory details of a birth. I can't see more than a few inches in front of me and everything looks foggy and diluted. I guess my vision is not developed enough. No surprises there. I guess I should become an assistant to Professor Oak. He has international contacts, influence, not corrupt and very accepting. Daisy also paid a lot of attention to me and was very supporting. Makes me think about how Ash turned out the way he did. My aura has become around 73%, extremely hard to measure without a ruler, denser and spans my entire body instead of just inside a chamber. Also my body uses passive aura to strengthen itself. I used this application to express my intentions, like giving of a friendly aura or threatening aura. I also actively flood my body with aura, pour in enough energy to fill up my body to make it more used to the feeling. I made sure to do it in different directions, so it doesn't get used to only one type of motion. Why are you so small? Who are you? Why are you here? I was asked rapid-fire questions while the fact that I could not talk was being ignored, so I simply put a finger on her mouth in a shushing manner and patted her head. It was a major struggle. My life was interrupted by Daisy. I also used my aura to appear more friendly and more approachable. I used this technique to play with the wildlife. The local Pokemon had gotten used to a kind boy playing with them and feeding them a few berries. I also tried sneaking into the ranch, but was found out before I could get step 1 started. How long has it been? From the calendar I can see it's been 4 months since birth. I always played with Delia and Daisy when she came over. I had the habit of treating Daisy, who is older than me by 6 years, as a younger sibling. It made a very comical scene when I patted Daisy on the head for brining me my milk bottle. She had accidentally let it slip that she liked me more than Gary because he was a normal child and not an angel like me. Delia was also very lonely as her husband basically walked out on her. I did my best to cover the hole with love and succeeded from my observations. I also started basic exercises for flexibility and growth. I was forbidden from entering the ranch until an undetermined period of time. I knew that Dad had left, so I made sure to never bring it up to Mom. Daisy acted as a little older sister to me. Mom's reaction to me sitting on Daisy's head and pointing to the Pokemon ranch was worthy of an Oscar. I used Daisy as a taxi to take me around the town. By now everyone knew about the cute baby genius. Me. Did you gain a reputation? Him. Yes, me. What did it take? Him. My cheeks. Daisy visited every day and practically lived here for half the time since the professor was too busy. She was really cute and curious about everything. She also loved heat pats, and would lean forward for a pat whenever she finished a task. Oak never noticed, but I can't blame the man. If I was the lead researcher and head scientist of the entire world, then I wouldn't have noticed. Daisy also liked when I complimented her, which basically involved saying beautiful and Daisy in the same sentence. I started babbling and making signs. To an outside observer, it was in baby playing around, but I was actually training my muscle control and hand-eye coordination. I was also looking through all the Pokemon I had seen and many different training methods. The current one I was thinking of was using the move Gravity and a healing move. Yep, the Gravity Chamber from Dragon Ball. Also, it turns out the human body here is much stronger than anywhere else. They can tank a few Pokemon attacks and hit much harder than my world. But a downside is that we don't focus much on our own biology and more on Pokemon biology instead. Most of the body trainers are muscle heads who are either complete morons or war survivors. I finally turned a year old before I started talking phrases. My first word was, Mom, and the second, Daisy sis. I made sure to show my love for Daisy. I felt that she had a bit of a neglected childhood, but this was below understandable. Mine and Gary's meeting was a very anticlimactic meeting, where he called me names and I acted like he didn't exist and asked Professor Oak a lot of questions without coming off as annoying. Oak also liked me for my adventurous attitude and studious nature. Daisy and me also played a lot of games. The fact that she was so excited and happy made me feel happy as well. The innocence of a kid is always very precious, says the 1-year-old. But playing with Daisy had gotten started boring, so I started playing with the older girls. The boys did not want to play with a baby. I had seen the spark of ugly jealousy in Daisy's eyes. I made sure that Daisy knew that I thought of her as a sister and patted her head more times than the other girls. While I was meditating one day I felt the presence of an egg. Oh, that's normal, maybe it's in my sensing range. My sensing range is 10 feet actively and 1 foot passively. The egg was 2,374 kims away. There is only one explanation. That egg is in Roylu, my Riolu. I opened my eyes and for the first time they glowed an electric blue. 3 years later today is the first day of preschool kindergarten. I was invited to a play date for the children in the town. Gary, angered by the fact that I ignored him, tried to bully me and ended up on the floor. After Gary crying to Oak and I was called in, I told them about how he tried to bully me. Gary, being the kid he was, couldn't lie to his grandfather and told the truth. It ended with Gary's punishments and our rivalry reaching a whole new level. The only reason I haven't graduated early is for the summer camp where Ash meets Serena. I just tuned out the teacher and started meditating during class. At first they tried to make me interact with others, but in the end they gave up. I have been tracking the egg I felt. A few days after the initial sensing, I realized that my eyes glow sapphire blue. It was really epic looking if I was being honest. It only happened when I channeled aura to my eyes or used a large amount of aura. I also experimented a bit and saw if I channeled my aura with the intent of anger, bloodlust or intimidation they turn red. Blood red. My aura was now much denser and my body, even by Pokemon World human standards, was stronger. I made sure to stay flexible and nimble. It seems that the egg that I sensed was going from one area to another at a speed of a cruiser. I had a gut instinct that he was my aura partner. Even if I couldn't get it as a starter, I could easily track him down to catch him. I also snuck into the Pokemon ranch, found him a champ and asked him to teach me martial arts. He refused the first few times but later accepted and started teaching me a bunch of martial arts. It was hard knowing what he was saying, but by using aura I can understand the basic intentions of a Pokemon. It helped a lot during practicing. The ranch only had Gen 1 Pokemon and a few non-Gen 1 Pokemon. I had familiarized myself to all the non-threatening members of the ranch. One day while I played with the baby Pokemon, I was caught by Oak. Mom was really worried about my sneaking in, but I assured her that I had not interacted with anyone beyond the baby Pokemon and a few non-threatening species. After a few failed attempts, I convinced her to let me study under Professor Oak. I asked Professor Oak if I could study under him. I told him about my passion and goals. My studious nature was well known to Oak. He accepted. At first I would just feed a few Pokemon, but as time passed on I met more and more dangerous Pokemon like Gyarados, Kingdra, Sandslash, etc. One time I was feeding a bunch of Magikarp when a Gyarados suddenly arrived. Instead of backing away, I sensed its intentions and petted it on its crown. Oak's assistant nearly fainted when he saw a 4-year-old riding a Gyarados with a school of Magikarp following them. Oak nearly laughed it up. Daisy was more than used to my antics and Mom just chuckled. I felt a bit like Newt's commander when I told Professor Oak about how the Gyarados was annoyed about how everyone was scared of it and it won't attack anyone who hasn't attacked it first. There was the time I got into a fight with a baby Mankey. It was beaten. To be fair, we were the same height, but I weighed more than him. Since then we spar almost every day. The Pokemon were impressed with a human who could train alongside them. My exploits as a researcher and fighter had made its rounds in the town. This just served to increase Gary's jealousy even more. I had learned Judo, Aikido, Karate, Muay Thai, boxing, kickboxing and a few more styles from the multitude of fighting Pokemon here. Daisy wanted to know where I disappeared to for a few hours every day and a few hours at nights, but she did not know that, so I asked permission from the Pokemon here and brought Daisy in the next day. Since then she has been pestering me to teach her martial arts. I had enough of it, so I pointed her to a female Machamp. Please don't ask. So now Daisy knows Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu and a few others. She could defend herself better, so no harm done. It also made the time she spent with me more, causing Gary to get jealous. To Gary, I was his antithesis. I would score full marks, worked with Professor Oak, was practically a brother to Daisy, the strongest and smartest. I also got along with the population much better than an orange-haired brat. The ranch had a library that was accessible to anyone over 18 or working at the lab. They called me the reading maniac. Why do you even do this? You have 7 years till you start your journey. Oi, old man, if you can look me in the eye and say that you wouldn't do the same thing, then I will stop. No response was received. Daisy was also very happy about my employment and would stay with me while I worked. I would give her my knowledge from reading the library and pre-rebirth knowledge. It was almost like a kid bothering an adult who was doing his job. Except here the adult is 4 and the kid is 10. Daisy's love for head pats has also grown. But human philosophy raised its ugly head and the other girls were jealous of Daisy. I kept an eye out for any sign of bullying. This is why I call children innocent. They are innocent till birth and from then onwards the world shapes them. Summer camp today is the day. Finally we are going to summer camp. It's been 3 years since I started helping Professor Oak. I met almost all the Pokemon. The few I hadn't met were Oak's team and a few dragons. I had started to practice aiming stones at moving pendulums. I also realized that aura was very versatile. I could use it to make solid energy attacks or defenses, sense everything around me passively, read intentions, resistance to mental attacks and the ability to track down any recognized aura and finally physical enhancements. The egg has been stationary since it stopped moving. I had grown to 4.3 feet, which is taller than most people of my age. That combined with my almost no-existent baby fat made me look older than I was. Now kids 3 of you will share a room and I don't want any of you to go into the forest. And remember kids you can ask us any questions you want. After finishing his speech Oak left and one of his assistants started assigning us rooms. I had to share a room with Mike and James. They were your generic character and V. I had seen Serena. She looked lost and scared. It is likely her mother just told her to come here and Serena couldn't deny it. First we had ring tossing. After practicing my aim so many times it was a cakewalk. Then we had a few different activities like drawn, basic survival tips and finally treasure hunting. I dominated all of them easily because of me practicing them. Trainers most of the time sleep outside earlier. The last one was where Serena was lost. I immediately started looking for her. I found her with a scraped knee crying, so I went up to her. You're hurt, let me help. I took out a few bandages and whatnot. She was surprised but my calming aura worked its charm and she showed me her knee. You know, you shouldn't be here alone. Where are your friends? They left me. They said my hair was bad. Don't worry about them, they don't matter. They were just jealous of you. Really? Of course, if you want I can be your friend. We talked as I finished bandaging her knee. When I finished I asked, can you walk? No, it hurts. If I didn't have enhanced hearing, then I wouldn't have heard that. I took her up in a princess carry and took her back to camp. She blushed and snuggled into me like a. After we reached back to camp, I took her to the infirmary tent with basic medical supplies. Before leaving I looked into her eyes and said, you are a good girl and good girls deserve rewards, so the next time we meet, will you be my friend? I started patting her head. Okay, I don't think even Arceus could have heard that. Her lips mouthed okay. Ah, she was blushing. At night we had a campfire. I liked the marshmallows. The next day I went back home, but not before telling Serena about a few of my adventures. When Mom heard about how I saved a damsel in distress, she got a faraway look into her eyes for only a moment. Yet that moment was more than enough for me to know about what happened. Oak tried to tease me but, I heard that the ghost elite Agatha really misses her husband. That person must not be a good person. He never tried to tease me ever again. Daisy was happy for me but she was mostly sad that she had to leave. Daisy wanted to be coordinator. The other girls never thought it could happen but I had full faith in her and I made it known. So she was going to leave next year when she turned 13. I think in canon she never left and in the manga she left at 15. I guess a little motivation can go a long way. She had a Clefairy with her. I finally met the Oak's Charizard. The Og Charizard. Oak had warned me to not break eye contact. When I looked into its eyes, I saw the intent to size me up. Instead of meekly looking into its eyes, I used all my aura to strengthen my body and looked it straight in the eyes. He grinned and from that point on only me and Professor Oak could feed the Charizard. I also played a lot with the baby Pokemon. Every single fighting type had either fought or trained me. The baby Mankey evolved into a Primeape and beat the shit out of me. From then onwards every day I would get closer and closer to beating him. I had a theory that certain fighting types only let people who were strong enough catch them. For Primeape this benchmark was around the level of a Mankey. Also Gary's failed attempts at bullying me had frustrated him so much that he had become more of a jerk than in canon. I have been trying to look into aura healing and aura gravity enhancement. Currently I could heal minor cuts and increase the gravity by 0.2. I had it passively on 0.1 but if I used any aura then it wouldn't recover as all my regenerating aura was going into maintaining the higher gravity. I had also trained with max gravity and normal gravity, so I have full control over my power and I don't stumble around. I used aura heal to heal my muscle tears. Muscle tears are caused due to exertion. Whenever these tears are healed, the muscle becomes stronger. So I am abusing the human version of Zenkai Boost. My body doesn't have visible muscles. I am 7 but I lost all of my baby fat. 4 years later today is the day, the final countdown. I awoke at a crisp 7 a.m. I made breakfast for me and Mom. My cooking had almost surpassed Mom's and her teaching me to cook was a good bonding moment. I promised Mom that I would call her every day and tell her all about my adventures. My aura training had stagnated. My gravity was passively at 2.3x times, though I had to lower it on a few stairs. My training had gone well. I pummeled Primeape into the ground. Me and Charizard were friends. The Gyarados was basically family and the fighting types saw me as a disciple. I had learned a few handier skills like telepathy and infinite jump. Infinite jump is where I lower my gravity to 0.5 and create invisible platforms to jump on. Life was boring in school but the ranch was always exciting. I had read the entire library and published books on the possibilities of another evolution based on friendship. Currently there were 7 known evolutions: Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon, Umbreon, Espeon, Leafeon and finally Glaceon. I had introduced Sylveon to the world. The fairy type already existed. There was no mega evolution. I had become the youngest, age 8, junior professor in history for my discovery. Oh and also the Pokemon here don't have a limit on their moveset. Gary had become a jerk to everyone, as such he didn't have any fans or friends. I fed Charizard food and entered the lab to see Richie waiting for Green and Gary. When they both arrived Oak started. Ladies first, as predicted Green chose Bulbasaur. Gary chose Squirtle, Richie chose Charmander. Looks like there are no Pokemon for the loser, guess who? Actually Gary, 3 Pokemon were reserved for Ash. What? Okay they must be a few weak bugs right. At this moment I took out my camera and got into position. Actually they are my Charizard egg, a shiny Magikarp and a Pikachu which broke into the ranch and took down a Primeape before Ash subdued it. Click click click. I immediately ran to the printer and printed the photos. I then proceeded to reframe those photos in my house. I then ran back to the lab where Pikachu left at me and sat on my shoulder. Oak was just talking to someone, while his assistant was getting the Charizard egg. The few snippets of the conversation were interesting. The R-O-E.land, league, .cha, .ion, on, it. Looks like the league and the champion are coordinating to catch Team Rocket Huff. Well I should look into it. Does the secret base in the game counter exist here? I should check there. Well I got my egg. I went home and said a tearful goodbye to Mom and went ahead with my journey. I was wearing a black and red outfit with black pants and red shoes with black accents. I had worn a black shirt with a red and black jacket on top and the original Ash hat on red and black. Just imagine Red's outfit with black instead of white with black fingerless gloves. I caught Pikachu in a Pokeball and immediately called him out. Pikachu sat on my shoulder Ash style and we started walking. I saw a bunch of Poke copyright Mon, but did not lift a finger to catch them. Why? Because not every Pokemon has the potential to grow strong. Just catching every Pokemon I come across won't sit right with me. I never understood the logo gotta catch them all. Sure, it works from a gaming standpoint, but why would you catch a bunch of useless Weedles when you can easily ignore them and catch stronger Pokemon in real life? I kept walking through the route when I noticed a Pidgey in the exact spot where Ash originally caught it. I left it alone and kept walking. I finally saw the hill. This is the hill where Ash sees Ho-Oh. I don't know if it will still fly here. I can't sense it anywhere, but it is a legendary Pokemon could easily hide its presence. I knew that it appeared on sunrise and it was still early in the day. So I set up camp here and started training with Pikachu and Magikarp. Okay guys, we have Brock's gym first. So Pikachu, we will be training your physical body and trying to learn Iron Tail, and Magikarp will be strengthening its body. I have a theory that the later the Pokemon evolves the stronger it is, so no rushing evolution. We may have to catch a flying type. I also added the 2.3x times gravity to my Pokemon. Me and the Pokemon started running around the field and Magikarp was swimming against the current. After that, me and Pikachu used our fists and tails to punch a few trees. For Pikachu to harden his tail and for me as physical resistance. After the workout I made highly nutritious food for Pikachu and Magikarp. Just as I finished a huge Pidgey, and I mean huge by my standards. The Pidgey was a meter in height for comparison. A Pidgeotto is 1.1 meters and Pidgeys are at max 0.5 meters. I immediately walked up to it and asked, "Do you want to join me?" It said yes, yay. Apparently this mad lad has been watching me train along with my Pokemon and wanted me to train her as well. I have no reason to deny. I had to make more food and adjust the food schedule. I now have enough food for 12 days instead of the original 15, but I don't mind. The raw ingredient are dirt cheap. It is just the manufacturers who mark up the price by a solid 500%. The sun was setting and I was playing with my Pokemon when I felt a divine holy aura near me. I turned around and saw a Ho-Oh flying over me. It glanced at me and then flew off. After it had left, I noticed a golden feather falling from the sky. I recognized it as having the same aura as Ho-Oh. That was a surreal experience. It showed me the massive gaping gap between my Pokemon and the legendaries, but that just inspired me even more. It looks like it inspired my Pokemon more than it did to me. I told Pidgey how to learn Steel Wing and how I would let it practice tomorrow. Viridian City. I finally reached Viridian City today. I realized that I forgot to check the moves of my Pokemon with the Poke Copyright Dex. The moves were Quick Attack, Thundershock and Thunderbolt and Tackle. Quick Attack, Peck and Gust, Flail and Splash. Today Pikachu and Pidgey will continue trying to learn Iron Tail and Steel Wing, after which we will work on combing them with Quick Attack. Magikarp will continue strengthening its body and I will try and make progress on higher gravity. I talked to Mom about how I caught a massive Pidgey and how I was doing. I did not mention Ho-Oh. This brutal exercise routine along with high gravity was hard, but the nutritious food and the healing aura made the Pokemon relaxed. I also played with them. They are still creatures who need to socially interact. Today night should be the first time that Team Rocket attack. Rant alert. The hell don't they capture them? At the end of every episode they are thrown away. If you just jailed them they would have never came back. Hell, they kidnapped, conned and destroyed more cities than most legendaries. Also I think Ash may be blind. I mean, how the hell did Ash not see through the disguises? Sigh. Well, whatever. Today those grunts are going to jail. Robbing and destroying a Pokemon Center with the intent to steal injured Pokemon is way more than enough to get thrown into jail. Also, the Charmander egg from Charizard is ready to hatch. It should be within today. No matter how powerful you are, if you don't know how to use it, then you are no good. So let's spar with my Pokemon and teach them fighting, or at the very least adding techniques. Enough training. No matter how strong you are, without experience you're all amateurs, so come and fight me. At first, they attacked individually. After a beating they started coordinating, but I still beat them into the ground. I made sure to go easy on them so as not to discourage or injure them. What are you doing? Beating your Pokemon. You should be arrested for life. I heard a very loud shriek coming from behind me and I saw Misty, exact replica. She tried to slap me but I caught it with an iron grip and looked down into her eyes. I am taller than Ash, remember. How dare you accuse me of abusing my Pokemon? That was sparring match. If you look closely, you will see that they have no injuries. Abuse of Pokemon is a very serious crime. If you just accuse me of something so bad without proof, then there is something wrong with you. I know you are living there, no one who can spar with Pokemon. You must have been abusing or not feeding them properly. First of all, you can visibly see that my Pokemon are healthy and well fed. Second, there are many fighting type specialists who spar with their own Pokemon. And third, I would never underfeed a Pokemon. She is a nightmare to deal with. Makes me wonder why Ash didn't leave her. Oh yeah, he was in debt to her. To this day Ash hasn't. Even after becoming champion, Alola paid Misty back. Maybe Ash just had a bad habit of attracting either very good or very bad girls to him. I mean, he had Misty and Iris but also Serena and May. Well, I left and from then on I would train in more secluded areas. I would bring my Pokemon to Nurse Joy to check for hidden injuries. First I started off by slowly increasing the gravity for all of them. Pidgey had a harder time getting used to the constant 2.3x gravity, but she got used to it after a while. I also learned that Pidgey's sweet spot was behind her ears while Pikachu liked getting head pats and Magikarp liked belly rubs. Night had finally arrived. I slowly strolled through the city towards the direction of the Poke Center. I was nearly there when I saw smoke coming out of the Pokemon Center. I ran inside and saw Jessie and James. The second I saw the iconic talking Meowth, I chucked a Pokeball at it. I got a gift for the professor. A talking Pokemon would be an interesting subject to study. It would also be much better life for Meowth. I mean, it would be taken car and would receive food. Jessie. To protect the world from devastation. James. To unite all people within our nation. Jessie. To denounce the evils of truth and love. James. Surrender now or prepare to fight. Jessie. Hey Meowth, where are you? Why did you not say you lines? Hey Meowth, where did you go? Before they could say anything else I karate chopped them, and they went down like a sack of potatoes. It was at that time both Jenny and Misty arrived. Misty. Haha, I knew it, you're a Team Rocket member. I knew it, you were abusing your pop. Jenny. Thank you young man for capturing the Team Rocket members, though I must say you Pikachu looks very well fed and taken care of. Misty's jaw had nearly dislocated. Yes I know, nowadays just sparring with your Pokemon is called abuse. What a joke. Bruno from the Elite Four also spars with his Pokemon. Once again Misty's attempt had backfired. This is why you don't make false assumptions. Officer Jenny, if you would please take these criminals back to jail. Haha. Today is the day that the egg finally hatches. I felt and wiggled. That must be the egg. I immediately took out the incubator and saw a few cracks slowly broke apart and it came out. It wasn't what I expected but makes sense when you think of it. Viridian Forest. Today our protagonist was walking through the forest. Pikachu and Pidgey learned Iron Tail and Steel Wing respective. We'll be working on mastering them. Right now I was instructing Pikachu and Magikarp how to tackle properly. Then for 1 second I stopped and turned around to catch a sword with my 2 fingers. Ah, it's the samurai. That's why I was sensing someone coming at me with the intention to attack but not hurt. Did you catch my sword? Cause it is made of styrofoam, you moron, and I broke in two with my bare hands. Imagine how epic I felt catching a sword with 2 years of training and it turns out to be made of styrofoam. Ah, the disappointment is immeasurable. That doesn't matter. I challenge you to a poke. Yeah, sure. Why not, Pikachu? You're up. Such disrespect. Go my Pinsir and crush them. The Pinsir was a disappointment. I could see that its armor was not polished. It did not look tough or even rigid. Its horns were dull and polished like a trophy. Pinsir attacked first with a charge. I first removed the extra gravity and then ordered, run around it, quick tackle. Pikachu easily dodged Pinsir's claws and ran faster and faster till his speed would hit increase and then hit the Pinsir. The Pinsir was sent flying. Oi sword boy, have you even trained that thing or is it just a trophy? Its claws are dull and it is not properly fed. No matter, Ash won this match. This kid's a moron. By the way, quick tackle is quick attack plus tackle. Wait, I still have one more Pokemon. Oh god, it's the Metapod, isn't it? Sigh. Sure, let's go Metapod. Like the Pinsir, the Metapod was smaller than normal. It did know have a sign and its armor looked much more compressible than even the wild ones. Magikarp go and use tackle and jump up and hit it with flail. And like that Metapod was out. Well, see y'all later. Bye. I do not want to be near him when the Beedrill swarm attacks. Judging by the fact that he did not say anything regarding any other trainers, and how in the anime every trainer he had beaten was mentioned, I'm gonna make an educated guess that I am ahead. Not that it means anything. Only thing that matters are your happiness and the strength you gained. The speed has nothing to do with ability unless it is a speed run. Oak was very pleased with the talking Meowth and Mom was happy to see me be so free. They both laughed when I told them about the guy with a styrofoam sword. I also told Oak about how the egg hatched and I got a Gibble. This dude was a monster. He ate like a Snorlax and had so much potential it was crazy, but unlike Snorlax he absolutely loved fighting. His moves were Tackle, Dragon Claw, Thrash and Sand Attack. Guess which ones were egg moves? Yeah, I know as well. Currently its body was too weak to perform any of the egg moves. That is why he is racing the local population of Sandshrew Underground. I asked the Gibble how it wanted to become when it grew up. It replied with a speeding tank with high attack. In the games this might not be possible, but in reality the only limits that exist are the ones which can be broken. Speaking of, I was going for certain builds for my Pokemon. I made sure to train their weaknesses as well, so they are not unbalanced. Pikachu extremely fast special and physical attacker Magikarp mega tank. Pidgey fast tank, Gibble fast defensive tank, Riolu fast attacker, physical Charizard undetermined. He was also the most enthusiastic Pokemon in our little group. Seeing a baby Pokemon working so hard, lot of fire up under my Pokemon asses, and I realized that I have a total of 6 Pokemon. Magikarp, Pikachu, Pidgey, Gibble, Riolu and Meowth. Good thing that I had 9 slots instead of the 6, thanks to the junior professor status I had obtained. My current aim was to get the abandoned Charmander and have Damien arrested. I finally saw a city. It looked like the city was carved out of stone. It didn't really look inviting, but it wasn't menacing either. Hellsteel is more powerful from a durability standpoint, but it did have a weird, quirky charm of its own. The Pokemon Center stood out like a sore thumb. The iconic building was made red for it to be visible and easy to spot. It was a pretty crowded street. From here I could see a large park. I believe that's where Flint is, but first I gotta beat Brock. I had no complaints for Brock other than the fact that he was a bit too passive and let Misty hit him around. He was also the most sensible and the oldest one. The gym was pretty grand, but first I need some rest. Aura. Heal consumes energy, so even if I have no injuries, I am dead tired. I am also thinking about failsafe in case Brock is prepared for steel-type moves. I am gonna challenge him day after tomorrow. Today we are gonna relax and take the day off. They were still very young and still needed social interactions to develop. I toured the entire town and saw the museum. The games made the museum seem much smaller than it actually was. It was a few floors. I stocked up on food supplies. Mom and me talked a bit. I transferred Meowth to Oak for research purposes. All in all, it was a nice break from sleeping on the floor and eating the same food again and again. Now for my strategy. I am gonna go with Pikachu first, then if needed Pidgey. Pewter City Gym, today is the day. I am finally gonna get my first badge. Sorry Brock, but you ain't coming with me. As an apology, I'll drag your dad here. I got Pikachu on my shoulder and Pidgey's Pokeball ball in my hand. My team, except Gibble, had destroyed the trainer's population's ego. Each and every person who has wandered into the forest with a Pokemon was beaten by me. I crushed the arrogant or abusive trainer and guided and helped the kinder younger trainers. By today the entire town was talking about a young boy clad in black and red, destroying egos and helping the young trainers. Pidgey was already showing the signs of evolution before I caught it. I had delayed its evolution to let its body become stronger and more used to using the elements. She had reached the ceiling in terms of physical strength and elemental technique. I told her that she can evolve today. I walked up to the receptionist and asked, "Is the gym leader present here? I wish to challenge him for the badge. He is here, let me notify him. He will be here shortly." After waiting a while, Brock arrived. Somehow he managed to look the exact same without looking unrealistic. The only change was that his eyes were open and they looked a bit arrogant. Guess that will happen if you were not beaten by 3 trainers from the same town, 3 times in a row. So you're here. I'm Brock. I'm Pewter's gym leader. My rock hard willpower is evident even in my Pokemon. My Pokemon are all rock hard, and have true grit determination. That's right, my Pokemon are all the rock type. Foo-ha-ha. You're going to challenge me knowing you'll lose. That's the trainer's honor that compels you to challenge me. Fine. Then, show me your best. Sure. He was more talkative, but I made sure that I only used the Pokemon series as a guide to judge. Hating someone based on an alternate reality was not right. The only reason I did it with Misty was that all her behavior reinforced the mental image I had of her. Professor Oak was not as forgetful and Gary was way more arrogant than from canon. Serena was even more adorable, cute and shy than ever showed. Why is everyone I fight knuckleheads? Well, whatever. The league appointed him, so they must have seen some qualities in him. The only thing I learned from my past memories are that the early gyms are terribly unbalanced. Brock's Poke copyright Mon's defense and attack are monstrous, but their elemental defense is practically 0. The 3 gym leaders in Cerulean need no explaining. Surge evolved early, limiting the potential of a very talented Pikachu. Celadon City, Erica was sexist, the wrong way and her gloom wasn't strong enough to withstand the fire for a few seconds. The other gym leaders have trained to their weakness to a minimum at the very least. Go Geodude. Pikachu, you're up buddy. Both of our Pokemon got into position. My the receptionist was the referee. This is a battle between Brock the Pewter City gym leader and Ash from Pallet Town. Only 2 Pokemon are to be used. Only the trainer can switch out their Pokemon. Now begin. Geodude defense curl then roll out. Pikachu quick attack around in an iron tail. Geodude immediately flexed then curled into a ball and started rolling towards Pikachu, who had started building up quick attacks to pick up speed. Geodude was unable to even follow where Pikachu went and all of a sudden it was hit by an iron tail from behind. Even though unbalanced, the great defense Brock had talked about showed. Even after being hit with an iron tail in the back, Geodude got up with only a few injuries. Sadly though, another quick iron tail finished it off. Pikachu, you had your fun, now come back. Go Pidgey. Is this an insult? And tiny kid, yeah, my Pidgey had grown from 1 meter to 1.2 meters. So yeah, he was shocked. He quickly snapped out of it and said, go Golem. This was a major divergence from canon. I quickly scrounged up 2 theories. 1. I am in a different Pokemon timeline which has a few minor changes too. Brock keeps certain Pokemon for extra strong trainers enough, theorizing it's time to fight. Begin in 321 go. Golem Rock Slide, then Rock Polish, Pidgey Quick Steel Wing. Pidgey expertly moved through the rock slide. Compared to the rocks I had her dodge under 2.3x gravity, this was nothing. Brock's plan to distract me and then to power up failed and his Golem got Steel Winged in the face as a reprimand. Golem Mega Punch. That was pretty fast and Pidgey got hit by it but got up like a champ. Pidgey Gust and Steel Wing again. The Gust hit and did a bit of damage and distracted it enough for Pidgey to get a Steel Wing in and Golem finally fainted. I took you for granted, and so I lost. As proof of your victory I confer on you this, the official Pokemon League Boulder badge. Somehow how his stoic expression looked different without changing, not even I can do that. Mom always told me to be polite so, thanks. I hope to meet you again. I left the Pokemon Center with all my Pokemon healed and a Boulder badge in my pocket. I sent Pidgey to look for something. I was contemplating something when she came back. Good news, I won. Bad news, Pidgey did not evolve. Good news, I found the pump which made Pikachu stronger. Well, not exactly stronger per se. It was explained that the Hydro Mill made Pikachu used to extremely high volts running through its body. I was gonna look into it, and get Pikachu stronger than in the series. Jibble, today we will be starting on using your dragon moves. Today I want you to hold Dragon Claw for as long as you can. If you get bored, try changing the shape of the claws. You'll understand. Jibble give. Its intention was to simply become the strongest. After nearly a few hours of walking I reached there. It did not look that grandiose, but as long as it works, it works. Pikachu buddy, I wanna gonna put a lot of electricity through your body. This will make lightning attacks much easier and your body stronger. You wanna do it? Pika Pika, it said while nodding its head. I made sure there were no negative effects and checked the machine for any structural weak points, and after that was done, I stared it. At first Pikachu could only hold it for a few minutes, but after every time, the duration would increase. I estimated that it would take a week or more for this technique to reach its limits. I will consider this a success if Pikachu can hold it indefinitely. 1 week later yesterday, Pikachu finally reached the limit of the machine. I tested a few attacks before and after the training. The attacks before were lower in power and Pikachu could only perform 12 before stopping. Now though, the attacks were much stronger and Pikachu can perform 20 before stopping. Also Pidgey finally evolved in a mock battle against Jibble. Pidgeotto is a giant at 1.5 meters. That is the size of an Pidgeot. I can almost ride her. She is more than strong enough to big enough to carry me, but under the extra gravity she can't lift me. Also there's no fun in flying everywhere. Pidgeotto also learned Wing Attack, Agility and Sand Attack. My aura had finally started growing again and my gravity increased to 2.5x gravity. My abilities should be able to completely stop Sabrina from doing anything to me. Also there was a plot hole regarding how Gary and the other trainers beat Sabrina before Ash. But I'll talk about it when that comes. Magikarp had shown signs of evolving, but I purposefully asked him to not evolve. Most people would be happy with an average shiny Gyarados. I was not normal. I wanted him to reach the ceiling of his potential. I was gonna use him to beat all three sisters to crush them. Their attitude and ego pissed me off. They were an insult to the trainers in the original, but I will do my best to not hold a bias. Jibble had also grown strong enough to use Dragon Claw once before nearly fainting. What, did you expect that a 1-week training montage will allow a baby dragon to use one of the strongest moves of an adult badass dragon? Jibble was far from evolving as he was a dragon type. Dragon types did not evolve for long periods of times, but when they did, oh boy were they strong. Now I have one thing to do before heading to Mount Moon. Flint, where are you? Pidgeotto, do you want a nickname? Hi. Her intention was yes. How about Ari? She liked that. Okay Ari, I want you to find a man who looks like this. I showed her a sketch I made of Flint. Hi, and she's gone. Now about Damien. He left his Charmander for a week. The other trainers should have beaten Brock by now. If I am 1 day ahead of Ash, can I get an extra 5 days ahead of my alternate self? Maybe. I don't want to leave the Charmander for more than a day and my Pokemon could now barely beat me with elemental attacks. The only restriction in the matches was for Jibble, for obvious reasons. But without air elements I still beat them by a close margin. But if I use my aura to enhance my body and to create weapons, then elements or no, I crash them. Hi. I guess she found him. Show me the way. I then ran around the town and found him selling stones. I did not use Naruto's Talk no Jutsu, Protagonist Edition. No, I simply picked him up like a sack of potatoes, carried him to the gym, knocked on the door, and when one of Brock's siblings opened, I simply chucked him inside and closed the door. Within the next few hours, the official gym leader of Pewter had changed back to Flint. I don't know what Brock will want or do in this timeline, but if he wants to do something he gotta man up and just do it. I wonder how good of a gym leader Flint is. Mom was very excited to learn that I had gotten my badge and how Ari had evolved. Oak was still busy with the revolutionary Pokemon translated he was creating. He had used the data collected from Meowth to create this. Hell, he gave me joint credit for the idea. I was ecstatic. I could be the youngest professor ever. Also he gave me advice for Mount Moon. I listened to the previous champion very carefully. Today I am entering the iconic mountain. I had realized one thing. The Zubin were very good for aiming practice. Their numbers and speed allowed Pikachu to get a good sense of aim with his new powers. All my Pokemon including the Magikarp with water gun had their aims improved by a lot. I made sure that they won't be seriously hurt. Also it turns out all my Pokemon are scaredy cats and can't sleep in the dark without cuddling me. That's pretty sweet at first, but after a while it grows old. I had one major reason for staying here for so long. It turns out that other 10-year-old can't walk at 7 kilometers per hour for 12 hours straight. I thought, instead of doing all this calculations and estimations, why can't I just ask Oak? The Poke copyright decks have GPS systems in them. It turns out that Gary left Pewter today. This is my 4th day in the mountain. Ash came 1 week after Gary. So I have 2 options. 1. I can go far ahead and then backtrack all the way to Cerulean. 2. Trained here, I went ahead with the second one. What have I been training, you may ask? Well, I have been training the senses of this Pokemon. My sophisticated method is to block out one or multiple senses and throw them at enemy Pokemon and trainers. By now each one of my Pokemon can fight at near max capacity without 2 cents. I have also followed Moody's advice. I randomly flick them out of nowhere. This teaches them constant vigilance. Of course me and the Poke copyright mons have come out of the mountains plenty of times for supplies. You did not think that I would train my Pokemon without caring for their health. Of course not. The next day today is the day I get Damien's ass arrested and save a Charmander. I had already looked up all the necessary laws and the evidence needed. A oral confession will be more than enough for such a crime. I just have to record the part where he admits to leaving the Charmander. I was seriously offended at why Damien would do this. I mean, if you don't want it, release it. It is a common practice. He basically tried to kill a Pokemon after abandoning it. It really made my blood boil. I was never an animal activist or even a vegan. Hell, my favorite food was chicken. But even then, such a level of abuse disgusts me. Currently I am at the Pokemon Center in Cerulean waiting for Damien and his merry band to enter. While waiting for them I had toured the city and it was very beautiful. The enticement carvings and flowing design made for a very scenic view without sacrificing structural integrity. But the most interesting thing was by far, the locals' dislike for the gym leader. It turns out that Misty and the girl's father was a very nice and strong guy, who had brought this town on the map and led it very well. But the girls were very pampered and the dad was starched to thin as both gym and town leader to help in raising them. The girls basically stagnated, never trained, never tried to help the townsfolk or even grieve that much after their dad's death. The only thing they did with effort was that show of theirs. They were very focused on the beauty of a Pokemon. It turns out that they rejected a challenge because the trainer had a Magikarp. They believed that Magikarp was a failure of a Pokemon till it evolved. This went directly against their dad's teaching of each Pokemon can be strong, no matter their weaknesses. Looks like the townsfolk were nice people and responded kindly when I talked to them. The mom of the kids was not known. The sensational sisters, I am gonna wipe you out with Magikarp. I can't wait to see your bitchy faces after that. Anyway, I am getting off track. Damien finally entered. Instead of waiting for him to brag, I walked up to him and asked, hey, have you heard about this Charmander rumor? They say that a really powerful and wild Charmander is outside. It is at this point that I start recording. Ha ha ha, that was my Charmander. He was weak as shit. He couldn't learn many moves and lost against a bug. Wait, so you just left him outside? Yeah, I told him to stay there, but I won't be able to come back. At this point my anger grew enough to punch him straight in the jaw. So I may or not have beaten him a few times more than absolutely necessary before taking him to Officer Jenny. Hello, I have an Pokemon abuser who needs to be jailed. Yeah, that immediately got their attention. I showed them the clip and told them about how he left the Charmander with a false promise, so that Charmander would refuse any help. Well, we will obviously arrest him and confiscate his Pokemon, but we can't do anything about that Charmander. However, if a caring trainer happens to catch it, they may have it. It was basically a sign saying I could catch him. The police also ignored the extra bruises. Yay, Ari, I want you to find a Charmander sitting on a rock and show me the path. You understand? Hi. Okay, now while I am waiting for her to come back, I can finally meditate a bit. I am going through the memories of the series. After Cerulean, there is the 100 match gym from AJ. Before I can contemplate more about the series, I heard of Hi. I followed Ari to the Charmander. I showed him the clip and showed evidence of Damien being jailed. He was heartbroken, and it was after a few days of watching me while trained did he agree. I never tried to speed up the process for obvious reasons. Imagine your parents lied and then abandoned you, and now someone who is much better is trying to adopt you. From a logical thought process, the adoption is almost immediate, but in reality you must take time and not regret your decisions. I caught Charmander and saw that it had Scratch, Smokescreen, Ember and Dragon Rage. It was a bit close to evolving. It took a short while for it to get used to 2.6x times gravity, but then it thrived under pressure. Gible and Charmander became immediate competitiveness caused them to work even harder. Magikarp was also doing well. It could swim up to almost 75 miles per hour. Hello, when are the gym leaders free for a battle? The receptionist looked at me and said, they should be ready by tomorrow, thanks. Sigh, I guess more training it is. I mean, I already stayed here for a few days. The only major areas I had not gone to was the sister show, but I had no interest in that. I have a feeling if Brock was here, he would have dragged Ash to the show. Maybe that's why he took so long and had so many actions happen on or around him. He and his friends attracted danger both active and passively. I mean, the protagonist has to face some challenge for every episode. Right, the question still remains, what should I do today? My Pokemon are resting and will be playing around when they wake up. Maybe I should go for a swim. Yeah, I always liked swimming. The town's pool is open all day, so I went for a swim. The look on the faces of the men when they saw a 10-year-old more chiseled than they were. I did not have any bulging muscles. No, my body was a swimmer's body with extra definition and absolutely no fat. Cerulean City Gym today. I am here, cough cough. I mean, I am here to challenge the gym leaders. I heard a rumor that a base in Mount Moon was busted by the newly reinstated Flint. He is doing a good job, yay. But no Team Rocket base was ever mentioned in Mount Moon. This just confirms my theory that I am in an alternate timeline. A lot of people had come to see the match as gym challenges were becoming rarer and the sisters more condescending. Also, it turns out I had a reputation for crushing egoistic trainer, arresting a Pokemon abuser and catching Team Rocket members. I had not gotten a nickname yet, but that was only a matter of time at this rate. My team for today's match, it is Magikarp and Pikachu. I am gonna try and sweep the three with a Magikarp. If I can't, then I will have Pikachu electrocute them all. Magikarp's modest mode set is Tackle, Flail, Body Slam and Water Gun. The Golden Carp Pokemon was ready to sweep the competition. So which loser are we gonna defeat today? Maybe Cute 1, or Weak 1, the three whose name I couldn't bother to learn said. You got one thing wrong. I am gonna win today. Ooh, a confident one. Maybe he will be fun, or he will be weak. I heard you believe Magikarp to be a failure of a Pokemon. Is that true? Of course, it is. I had a bit of a maniacal smile as I said, I wonder what a Pokemon defeated by failure is called. Go Magikarp. From my Pokemon came an enraged Magikarp. It had heard many insults to its species, but never were they allied in failure. It shall restore its honor by sweeping them. A different color doesn't make you not a failure. I know, right? I can't believe I got excited for this. This just made Magikarp even more angry. Doesn't matter what you think. Today's challenge is from Ash Ketchum from Pallet Town against the Sensational Sisters. Only the challenger may switch out in Pokemon. Begin in 3, 2, 1. Go Goldeen. Goldeen has not been trained. Its scales are shiny and its body is healthy, but there are no muscles or signs of strength. That Pokemon is more for a coordinator than for a trainer. If this is the quality of your Pokemon, you have spat on your father's legacy and heritage. That had them immediately enraged. The crowds were in silent agreement with my statement and some were even verbally supporting me. The sisters' Pokemon looked almost contemplative. Goldeen used Horn Drill. Dodge and use Water Gun on the pool and tackle from underneath. Goldeen's Horn Drill missed. Magikarp JSED Water Gun to create a diversion and went into the water. Goldeen look out. Goldeen could not dodge and the first Pokemon was out. Magikarp -1 Shitty Sister 0. The crowd actually cheered because they were taught by the previous leader that all Pokemon can be strong. I am embracing your father's legacy better than his own children. It is truly a shame that an outsider embraces your legacy than your own blood. Go Horsey, said the orange-haired bitch. Magikarp flail. Horsey you swat. Magikarp hit Horsey before she could even finish giving the order. Sheesh, one attack. I guess you really are worse than a failure. That Horsey's scales are very soft, not hardened but polished. You sacrificed power for beauty. True co-ordinaries can both battle and be beautiful at the same time. That's true. In the co-ordinators showed in the show, they could both fight and be graceful at the same time. Magikarp. Looks like Magikarp honor has been restored. Haha, I feel so cheesy saying that. Well, whatever. I hope they have more competent gym leaders in the future. Go Starmie. Destroy it. Magikarp dodge and use Body Slam. As predicted, Magikarp dodged and jumped into the air and slammed down on Starmie. Close your jaws. Yes, I just sweeped you with a Pokemon you consider a failure. I hope you learn from this experience and train your Pokemon. You have a great legacy to support. Even though you alienated the townsfolk, they will still help you. So look at yourself and be happy for the life you had. I walked up to the referee, took the badge from his hand and immediately I guess Kurama must have given Naruto so much chakra to use this jutsu. Yes, I used the legendary Talk No Jutsu. This jutsu involves extremely aura-enhanced charisma, sentimental speech, bullshit technique, patriotic speech and aura-enhanced compelling voice. This was taxing on my ore reserves and on Kringinus meter. Man, I am dead tired. That is one draining technique. Well, enough of that. I should get Magikarp checked. I left Magikarp at the center and was resting inside a room. I should leave tomorrow and start on Charmander elemental training along with Gobble's dragon dance training. I was gonna sleep VU, then I realized I have to tell mom about my victory. Mom, I know had you think about curses, but they were total bitches. I know that, son. Some people are just asking to be cussed. A T really. Thanks for understanding. They called Magikarps as failures of water types. That's horrible. Yeah, I was offended. So I had Magikarp sweep the three of them. Really? You should not crush that. To hard right. Yeah, I know. Sometimes the world of Pokemon had more interest in humans. I really considered Delia as my mom. I don't remember anything except for fiction. That includes my parents. Route 24. I was traveling a bit when I felt a bunch of people surrounding me with the intention to capture. One of them had the intention to hurt. I spread aura through my body to strengthen it. Hey, are you the one who threw James and Jesse in jail? Ah, canon divergence. I guess Giovanni or one of his underlines sent a bunch of grunts for me. I count 4 in front of me and 7 in the bushes. They are gonna try and ambush me. Huh. I hit the SOS, sent a signal to League and Oak, and record button on my Poke copyright decks and called out my Pikachu, Magikarp and Ari Pidgeotto. These are the only Pokemon I have known to have. I showed them to make the grunts think I only have them. I can take you 4 on easily. They smirked sadistically. I instantly left myself away from the volley of attacks from the hidden bunch. Sorry, I meant I can take you 11 on easily. I released Gible and Charmander. Guys, these are Pokemon abusers, hunter or at the very least traitor. Go wild. Just don't kill them. The absolutely ferocious rage in Charmander eyes made his tail burst into flames. He had activated Blaze. Charmander, you can't let the rage control you. You are the master of yourself. Remember what I told you. His eyes turned back to normal, but Blaze was still active. It turns out that Blaze will be very useful for power, and as the grunts have showed me, intimidation. The 10 grunts released Zubats, Golbats, Raticates, Ratats and a few Grimers. The one who seemed to be the leader released a Crowbar and Rhyhorn. Ari, take on the Crobat. Magikarp, your support. Gible, take on Rhyhorn with Charmander. Pikachu, take the grunts. I will take the others. They were confused by what I meant by the others. That confusion turned to fear when I grabbed on Grunt and dislocated his shoulder and threw him onto the ground with a maniacal smile. Hey, we have numbers on him and he 10 beat him. The leader said. Before they could even move, they felt much heavier. They felt an immeasurable pressure fall onto them. I used my aura to the full power and intimidated them. This also applied to the Pokemon. The Pokemon had instincts. These instincts told them to run away from this monster. Ari had went into the air along with Crobat, with Magikarp throwing water guns with deadly aim thanks to Zubats of Mount Moon. The Rhyhorn was being beaten into the ground by Gible and Charmander said martial and elemental moves. I moved in and kicked a few grunts into others. I falcon punched a few grunts. I finally got to use my final move on the leader, which I had practiced for 10 years. The greatest move of all time. 1,000 years of pain. After genetically making him incapable of reproducing his unwanted genes, I moved on to the rest who had nearly fainted seeing me smiling like a devil. Not a bad idea. I used my aura to amplify my thirst for a good fight and force the thirst onto them. A few of them fainted. If you let me go, I will let you do anything to me, a female grunt said. I am 10, but even if I was older and suffering from blue balls, your ugly mug would make me softer than air. I believe in complete gender equality, but the Kazuma version. As such, I beat all genders in the face equally. When the police and Lieutenant Surge arrived here almost 1 hour later, they saw an 11-year, he is 10 but looks 11, old sitting on top of a bunch of bruised Team Rocket grunts, which was shaped like a pile, eating a barbecue with his Pokemon like nothing is happening. Behind him was a pile of open poke balls. His Pokemon were unharmed and there were a bunch of painted Pokemon littering the clearing. The near 70 Pokemon that were not seriously injured along with the grunts made for a very imposing image. Hello, just so you know, I claim self-defense. They attacked me first. I have proof. Surge was the first one to get his bearing back. Ha ha ha, I like you, kid. Are you gonna challenge me sometime later? After a few days, this barbecue tastes much better on the bodies of my fallen enemies. Mom was worried sick. Mom, I don't have a scratch on me. My Pokemon only have a few bruises. It is the grunts who are in the hospital. I already got checked out. Oh, don't be like that, it's my job to worry. You have been gone for more than a month. Ash reached the Pokemon school with 2 months under his belt, so I am estimating. It's at time like these I feel my age seeping through the confines of my memories. You know what, Mom? I will visit you after beating Surge. I will fly back as soon as I can. Really? Of course I can. I never really understood why Ash couldn't go back for a few days to Pallet. Sure, it would take some time, but he could leave and be back in a week. I am sorry to bother you, but we need a report of what exactly happened. Oh, don't worry, officer. My son will be more than happy enough to help. I had to give a detailed report, but all in all it was pretty fun. Surge had to go back, but I promised I would challenge him in a few days. I had to ignore the AJ challenge, the Pokemon school, Bill's lighthouse, Bulbasaur and the Squirtle squad and rush to Vermilion. Don't worry guys, I will interact with you all on my return trip. Gible, you have learned Dragon Dance. I want you to enhance to your maximum. Then I want you to use all that energy into one blast of Dragon Energy. Got it. Give. Good cause. You and Pikachu are gonna be fighting Surge as my strongest trio of Pokemon. Ari, Pikachu, Gible. Gible was more than happy to fight the strong trainer. 3 days later Gible and Charmander are ready to evolve and Pikachu simply has no limit. I learned that final evolution Pokemon have no power limits. The only exceptions are stone evolving Pokemon. This is an evolutionary tactic, Darwinian. Since an Pokemon evolving through a stone may never find one, they have no built-in power limiter. A Pokemon with no limiter grows a bit slower than an evolved Pokemon with no limiter. This is why Pikachu can be as strong as possible. That is why one Charizard can defeat 100 other ones, but one Charmander can only defeat 4 other Charmander at max. Today I am gonna make good on my promise. I am gonna beat Surge. Instead of asking the receptionist, I simply walked around the other grunts and shouted, "Boy, Surge, come out. I gotta beat you and make it back to mom." The people of the city were shocked. This 11-looking kid had challenged their gym leader so brazenly, he would get crushed. Some were sad or pitying, but some were happy to see me get my arrogance shattered. Oh, it's you, James, bring up the battle stage. Today will be a good fight. Let's not make it a long one. I challenge you one-on-one. My Raichu versus your Gible. The jaws that fell were plenty enough to make me chuckle. Only if we can spar against each other after this is done. The townsfolk were ready to throw me into a mental hospital. I had just challenged a lightning American to a fist-to-fist fight. This dude was known for being brutal, but my guts had told me to not look back and I wanted to know his strength. I may know more martial arts, but his one martial art had been refined in the most effective forge. War. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. That quote applies here. I have technical and physical advantage, but he had years of practice in the best way. How? Sure, why not? We made up our way to the battle stage. Go Raichu, be careful, we have a good opponent. Go Gible, here is your promised challenge. Ooh, this Raichu is no joke. You have taken care of it well. Its center of gravity is perfect. Its fur coat is shiny but not brushed. The tail and skin are hardened and the electrical signals are flowing perfectly. How you have a keen eye, but enough of that, let's go. Raichu Thunderbolt. Gibble dodge and dragon dance. Gibble barely dodged the Thunderbolt. It was extremely impressive. It made me realize that the first two gyms are really a joke. This is the true level of gym leaders. This feeling of excitement that even though I may lose, I will be happy. This is exactly what was missing in the fight against Brock. I knew my eyes were glowing but I didn't care. I looked straight at Surge and smiled like a complete battle maniac. My aura started pulsing. The lack of emotions that are usually stopping me from moving ahead with aura was no more. Gibble keep on going dodge if need be. Raichu Thunderbolt followed by quick attack. Gibble dodged the Thunderbolt but was unable to move out of the quick attack's way. Gibble gibble gibble. The charged up dragon energy was released in a very impressive dragon claw. It was a direct hit on stood out of the dust barely conscious and then fainted. This is exactly what I meant when I said Brock was unbalanced. His defense was not on Surge's level. Surge specialized in speed and attacking but his Pokemon was able to take a point-blank full-powered dragon claw and still stood awake for a few moments. The entire town who had witnessed the lieutenant's first defeat in months had their jaws broken. The ones who had lost were cheering for me and those who had witnessed my win looked at me like I was a miracle. Gibble started growing and was enveloped in a bright light. Its height increased to 1.7 meters, 1.4 meters is average. Its claws grew sharper, the fins grew stronger and larger, and in Gibble's place stood a Gabite. Yay, finally a contender to Ari in height. The Pokemon, while not the strongest, was the biggest of our group. He constantly needed to be reminded of its strength to stop it from becoming a peacock. Gabite. It ran over to me and lowered his head to 60 degrees. By now the crowd was looking at me like a hawk and were trying to pry the secrets of the universe from my brain. Well, anyway, they were super confused and wanted to know why the Gabite had lowered its head. I went ahead and gave it a head pat, then scratched it behind the ear and finished it with a belly rub. Gabite by the end had turned into putty. I actually took out my Poke copyright decks and recorded their reaction. Ha ha ha. The Pokemon that had raised so much chaos, destroyed half the field with one attack and defeated the Raichu had turned into this piece of cute jelly. Here, have the badge. You deserve it far more than anyone I have ever battled. Thanks, but I want to fight Mono Imano. I have been waiting for this since you told me that. He removed his glasses and got in a stance. I called back Gabite and Pikachu. I took out a quarter and tossed it in the air. Time seemed to slow down as I looked into Surge's eyes. I could see the coin rising higher and higher. I could feel all my blood pumping and my aura pulsating. I was overloading with excitement but the only thing on my face was a smile. The coin dropped and I charged. Pallet Town, I am home. It has been a long time. Well, if you count it as a month and a half. It's not that long, but from an action standpoint, I had beat a samurai, beat Brock, beat and arrest James and Jesse, beat the shitty sisters, beat 11 grunts and beat Surge. I did a lot of beating, huh? Well, Oak said he had a surprise for me. I knew I could just sense it from a mile away with aura, but where's the fun in that? I finally reached home and opened the door. I saw Mom on the couch. I snuck up on her and hugged her from behind. Mom, I really missed you. Well, tell me everything. Do I have a daughter-in-law? No, Mom, I have no intentions to find one either. Me and Mom talked for a few hours. After that I went to Oak. The second I opened the door I was hit by a missile. A 15-year-old, daisy-shaped missile. I was really happy cause I am back to my family. I don't consider Dad or Gary family. It was a heartfelt meet after 4 years. Daisy told me about how only I would believe in her and how much she missed her head pats and hugs. Oak was talking about how the translator progress was stagnating and how it would take a few years for a viable product. Daisy hit him on the head because he got too into the science mood. The entire town was happy that I was stopping by. I played with the kids and told them about my stories and lots of people did not believe me. I did nothing to stop them from spreading rumors that I was a liar. I was depressed that I could not see their reactions. The next day the paper's front page had a photo of my carnage with me in the center with a barbecue in my hand and Pokemon littered around me. Ha ha ha. After all, every region will have a meeting about me, discussing all the scraps they could gather. I should send them a letter. League headquarter Johto, so you're telling me that a 10-year-old beat Surge in hand-to-hand combat? Screamed a blue-haired woman in a tight-fitting one piece. We must have him at our side. Then a man with purple hair and a mask said, don't be ridiculous, Karen, then must have already locked him down. League headquarters Ho and an old man with a wild beard started with, is he really his son? Yes, then we can't do anything. You younglings don't know the true power of the Ketchum family, mansion in Sinnoh. Hey, Grandma is the person who everyone is talking about, asked a blonde girl with long hair and a black dress. Yeah, he beat a gym challenge with only one Pokemon twice, an older woman replied, it says he has a Gabite. Do you think my Garchomp would lose against him? He is not that special. Yes, but this is not about his current strength. It took you 6 mobs for your Gibble to become a Gabite. He did that in 1.5 months. Kalo's inside a house of paper and plate of breakfast had fallen. Serena dear, what happened, Mom? It's him. You mean that boy you have a crush on? He don't have a crush. Yeah, sure you don't, but what did he do? Is he a criminal? No, he beat 3 gyms in 1 month and he beat 11 Team Rocket members alone. Kanto Pokemon School. How dare this commoner get more attention than me? Carl. Yes, ma'am. Send this boy an invite to the school. Yes, ma'am. Just you wait, peasant, I will beat you and look beautiful while doing it. League headquarter Kanto. There was a long table with 6 people on each side and one person with spiky hair and a cape in the main seat. Is he his son? A shirtless man with bulging muscles asked. Yes, this time an old woman with a cane. Yes, the exploits of our protagonists has reached the Elite Four and the champion. Now all the gym leader, minus sisters and Sabrina, Elite Four, police head and the champion were here. Lance. What do we know about him? Flint. He beat my son, captured me and threw me back into my house. Agatha. He destroyed the 3 girls with 1 Magikarp. Police head. He brought in a seriously injured Pokemon abuser and beat up 11 grunts and their Pokemon single-handedly. Surge. He beat Raichu in a one-on-one match and challenged me to a fist fight. Lance. You beat him right. And where did you get those bruises? Surge. I lost. The implications of a 10-year-old beating Surge were huge. Lance. Sigh. What do we know about his Pokemon? Agatha. Pikachu, Magikarp, Pidgeotto, Charmander and Gabite. Lance. That is a very high potential and low power team. Bruno. If he can beat Surge now, I wonder what he can do in the future. Then a man burst into the room with a letter and a box in hand. What are you doing? This is a confidential meeting. Champion Lance, it's the boy. He sent us a letter. Lance looked to the others and back to the letter on the assistant's hand. Agatha, can you read that? Hello Lance. Thanks for organizing a meeting for me. I feel so special. Also don't open the box before reading this. I don't have any spies in the league. So I just wanted to let you know that. I am gonna beat everyone at the contest and beat your ugly mug Lance. I have a Magikarp, Charmander, Gabite, Pikachu and a Pidgey. But you must know this as you went digging for scraps. Well, I also have a Riolu. I hope you understand the significance of it. Also my only goal that involves you is to. Agatha stop. Oi, why did you stop? I wanna know if that brat wants to spar. Bruno asked. Agatha looked at Lance and started reading again. Irritate Lance so much that I can't find a way to describe the sheer amount of irritation. Let me begin with this. Please open the box. He is definitely Red's son. Only he could be so condescending, kiddish, annoying and cute in the same ratio. What's in the box? Lorelei walked over and opened the box. Inside was a box of extremely sexual and erotic scenarios between male kind with certain labels that shall not be mentioned. Bruno and Koga immediately shifted away from Lance and the entire atmosphere turned awkward before all the men, except Flint, in sync got out of their chairs and left. Flint walked over to Lance and put a hand on his shoulder and said, "I understand." Lance breathed out a sigh of relief. "Thanks, I thought everyone would believe this prank. No, I mean I understand, I also swing that way. Let me know if you feel that you need some personal company." 1 week later, Daisy left 3 days after I arrived because of the finals of the hoeing contest happening. I completely supported and showered her with head pats, hugs. There was that one time I had to spank her because she tried to pet Gabite without my permission. She seemed to particularly enjoy the last one, so to make sure she did not feel too sad while leaving, I may or may not have spanked her without any clothes. Anyways, I got an invitation from the Pokemon school. It was the bitchy girl from the anime. I responded that I would be there in 2 weeks. Charmander evolved during a match with Gabite. Charmander was always competitive with Gible, but when Gible evolved, Charmander was left behind. He was training so hard that he learned Dragon Claw. Gabite is now able to use continuous 20 seconds of dragon dances. Gabite was the only Pokemon I did not allow the kids to play with. It had the ability Rough Skin, and with its hardened almost steel-like skin, it was obvious why. Gabite also learned Bite and its strongest move to Rush. Ari had grown to about 1.7 feet. That is bigger than the average Pidgeot. It can fly at nearly Mach 1. It can break the speed of sound if it wants to, but it is not viable. To the townsfolk, I was the next legendary trainer like Professor Oak, red and blue. The kids also loved me. I was like an older brother. Magikarp had nearly grown to a meter long and had hit its ceiling of strength, so I gave it the go-ahead to evolve. Its scales had turned from almost fake gold to a golden shining majestic Magikarp. Pikachu had improved its battle instincts and reaction time by using an improvised version of Godspeed that I taught it. It would activate on instinct when it sensed danger. My Riolu egg had not moved a bit. I already left today morning. They were sad to see me go, but they were happy that I was successful. I had flew on Ari for a bit, until she started to get tired. When I got off Ari, I had just reached Pewter City. I trekked through the Mount Moon and went straight to Cerulean. I stayed there for the night and then left for the school the very next day. I had mentioned that I would be there tomorrow. Today my goal is to see if this AJ is actually any good. I mean, I employ very harsh training methods myself, but I always shower them with love and care afterwards. I don't want to judge based on the series. When I was walking, I saw a weird Coliseum gym hybrid. I knew that Ash came when AJ had 99 wins and 0 losses. I can use this as a measure of time between me and the original Ash. I saw a door and knocked on it. I saw a weird square-faced person with green SSJ Trunks hairstyle. "Hello, are you AJ? I heard you were supposed to be strong, so I want to challenge you." "Haha, sorry, I just bet my 100th opponent yesterday." "Oh no, it's okay, don't worry. I will be leaving." "Okay, brainstorm." Since Ash did not come here, and assuming that I did not cause or speed up any trainer beating up AJ, I am around a week to a day behind Ash. I guess I will just go to the school early. I looked at the Poke copyright decks and called up the school to let them know that I am coming today and if that I'd fine. They said that I can come today, if I give them 3 hours from now. I really need a hobby to do while walking. Ooh, I know I can go to that Pokemon reserve with Bulbasaur and make it an official reserve for Pokemon if I have Oak support. So I did that. "Hello. Yeah, Professor Oak. I found an Pokemon reserve run by a young lady. I hope that with your support I can make it an official mini reserve." "Okay, that's a good thing. I will send in the paperwork within a few hours. I was free anyways today, thanks." I walked up to the reserve and saw an house, so I went to the door and knocked on it. A really nice girl opened the door. "How may I help you?" "Hello. Yeah, I am a trainer from the league. I heard that there was a reserve here. I wanted to see if I can make it official." "Really?" She looked really surprised. Maybe she doesn't get much. She invited me in. Her intentions are really nice and pure. I checked with Aura. Yeah, the upsides are that 1. Any medicines within reason will be paid for. 2. Any capturing of Pokemon inside will be illegal. 3. Any thieves will be caught by the league. 4. Any Pokemon with critical conditions can be sent to the Pokemon Center. The downsides are 1. You will have to submit an official report of every Pokemon and item used. 2. There may be a few trainers sent here to check up on the reserve periodically. She agreed, and within a few hours I had introduced a new Pokemon reserve to the world. It has been 2 hours with the walk there. I should leave now. I said my goodbyes and left. 1 hour later, after walking for 1 hour, I reached the majestic gate of the prestigious academy. I knew that most of the professors here had given me a positive reply when I sent my thesis on Evi's genetic instability. I forgot the bitch girl's name, but I am sure she will tell me later. I see the young boy who was bullied in the anime waiting for me. "Hello, it is nice to meet you. May I know what the reason of this meeting?" "I was not told the reason I was called here." "Good morning, sir. You were called to give an explanation on things that we are not taught in Pokemon school, so basically a challenge to find out anything wrong with their portion. Why not?" "Is it for a class or for the entire school?" "Sir, it's for the entire school. The teachers are also looking forward to your explanation." "When is the time for the explanation?" "It was tomorrow, but for some reason it was moved to today. In a few minutes. Not a bad strategy to get me flustered." "Shame it won't work. Sir, the auditorium is waiting for you." "Sure, inform them that I am here. Today a certified junior professor and Pokemon trainer will be here among us. Tell us about things that the academy does not teach you." I took the mic from the guy handing it to me and walked up to the stage and started my technique. "Thank you. For my speech, just disregard the junior professor thing. I am going to give you a few necessary facts for being a trainer. If you have any questions, just raise one of your hands. First, I would like to start with a question. How many of you train your body or at least your endurance? Please raise your hands." Not a single hand raised. Sheesh. One person made raise their hand. "Yes, ask your question. Why would we train our bodies?" "Well, excellent question. Now, how do you travel from town to town in the league circuit?" "Well, we walk." "Exactly. Now an untrained person can walk about 10 miles every day. I have trained my body from a young age. I walk 20 miles every day of my journey with proper pacing and food and water breaks. Also, training your body can be a great motivation for your Pokemon. Look at it from a Poke copyright mon's point of view. The Pokemon are training and fighting all day long with a few short breaks in the Pokemon Center. Now at the same time, your trainer never does anything other than walking and still complains about such a tiny task. I went on to explain about walking tips, how long to train your Pokemon, proper diet for growth, and a few evolutionary indications when I was interrupted. "How do we know what you're saying is correct?" "It was the bitchy bitch. Common sense. But as you will not know what that means, I can prove it in any way. How? Really, can your Pokemon beat mine? Tell me which is your strongest Pokemon." "It is my Graveler." My weakest Pokemon is Magikarp. If I can beat your strongest with my weakest, will you concede your defeat?" "Of course I will win, but okay, I agree. Is there an arena you want to fight in?" "Yeah, the school has many battle areas. We walked over there. All of the final year students were here and they were 16 while here I was an 11 looking 10-year-old. She had a Graveler while I had a Magikarp on land. Since I am the professor, the odds are so against poor Giselle. I will not look at the battle. If I could be provided a blindfold." By this time I had created chaos in the minds of the students. I was handed a blindfold. I wore it and sent out Magikarp. "Magikarp, it is just like last time except only one Pokemon," she sent out in Graveler. I pulled out a foldable chair and turned it the opposite direction and sat on it. Magikarp water gun, flail and body slam, Graveler rollout. I couldn't see anything but I could still know what was going on thanks to Aura. Magikarp just dodged the Graveler and shot a water gun at it. Magikarp then flailed to its maximum height and used body slam on the wet Graveler doing decent damage. Ah just used rock throw, dodge and twist the water gun. Graveler threw a bunch of stones at Magikarp, who expertly dodges them and shot a water gun that missed. Graveler was about to attack when it was hit by a full-powered water gun on the back and fainted. I got off from my chair, recalled Magikarp. Well, that proves it. I win. Be you. But how? I have one mindset. The only limitations on you are the ones which can be broken. I said that and left. It was a fun day. Now for the Squirtle squad. I do not need Pokemon who don't want to evolve, especially when they are wasting their potential. They are not doing anything bad per se, but they're disturbing the townspeople. Pikachu could take them on. Ari, I want you to take Pikachu and to find a group of Squirtle, and tell them that I challenge their leader to a fight for the town's serenity. Pikachu versus all of them. While they're doing that, I went ahead to Bill. We talked about scientific milestones and our individual research. He was a good scientist if not a bit of a weirdo. I actually had to turn down my gravity to walk inside the lighthouse. Here he told me about how he saw giant Pokemon. There can only two answers. Point 1 light refraction during rain or 2 robots. What do you mean robots? I mean giant ass animatronics that are being ad for Pokemon Park. Remember those? Yeah, well what if this is one of them or stolen design? We talked regarding Bill's current research. Later I left and reached the mentioned town to see a fire being put out by the Squirtle squad. I hope Pikachu had fun taking down a bunch of defenseless Pokemon. 4 days later today I reached Saffron City. It took me longer than expected cause Serge showed me around Vermilion. I need to beat Sabrina by making her laugh. The Saint Anne leaves in a few days, so I don't need to stay here for long. Thank God. This place is weird as hell. It is like the Pokemon music from the first game was played 24/7. It was way less creepy but undescribable. It was like trying to describe a color. Impossible. The anime showed the city but missed the vibe of the down. Hell, even the aura generated here was weird, not exactly depressing but unique. I could sense Sabrina and her psychic energy from a mile away. The people were nice and they looked largely unaffected. They were not influenced in any way. It was almost like the energy had become a part of them. Now a good counter, a jokester, or some sort of physical comedy. Pikachu can make the best off if I somehow lose. I can make Pikachu mimic someone. I can use Gabite against Kadabra. Charmeleon has also been hungry for action. Ari had reached 1.75 meters and had stopped growing. The Ghost Tower incident with Cubone had not happened. The city looked more like the anime than the games. I had to remove my extra gravity and instead use my aura to protect my mind just in case. The second I stepped into a gym, my presence was felt by someone. Anybody here? I want to challenge the gym leader. How curious, I can't quite seem to read your mind. So you gonna accept or should I leave? No need, I accept. The entire arena looked normal, so no unfair advantages. This will be a one-on-one match between gym leader Sabrina and Ash Ketchum from Pallet Town. The referee looked like a mindless puppet, his eyes were hollow and his voice flat. Man, I would not want to be him. Go Kadabra. Go Gabite Eyes Dragon Dance and be on the lookout, she can communicate telepathically. Gabite started powering up when Kadabra was enveloped in energy and Gabite was lifted off the ground. Don't panic, you can break free with physical power, that is completely true. My first research topics in this world included psychics. Their mental strength has a limit which can be physically broken. Gabite eventually broke out but by then Kadabra has launched a confusion and a psycho power. Gabite dodged the first one but was sent back a few meters by the second one. Dragon Rage and Quick Attack. Gabite roared and started zigzagging along the field unpredictably while building up speed. At the height of its speed it hit Kadabra in the back. Don't stop, that was an illusion, trust your other senses. Gabite listened to my advice and hit a piece of air that morphed into a Karna when hit. Thank you Mount Moon training. Kadabra recovered. Don't let it, keep on hitting it with heavy attacks. Kadabra was able to recover but it still had a few wounds. Dragon Dance. Kadabra was once again covered in energy, dodge. A plan formed in my head. Dragon Dance. It tried to attack again, straight through, Dragon Claw. Sabrina's normal strategy was to keep enemies on their toes and use recover. It also relied on Kadabra teleport and speedy hit and disappear tactics. Gabite even though fast was first and foremost a tank, so it went through the attack with minimal damage and hit Kadabra in the face. Teleport takes time to activate. It just seems instantaneous because a psychic trainer can see your next move and give the command in advance. Since my mind was blocked and my move was a surprise, I managed to get the Kadabra in the face. When the dust settled, Kadabra was knocked out and Gabite had a few bruises. It is my loss. Her voice was a bit raw, like she is not used to talking. I guess that Oak and Daisy might be sad if Gary is turned into a doll. Her behavior is more toned down but she still has the dolls with her. I can sense the life force from those dolls. Sigh, the things I do for my morals. You know you should laugh more, a smile looks better on you. I opened a part of my mind that she wanted to read. It was to see if I was lying or not. She was genuinely surprised cause opening one's part of a mind was a sign of trust. While she was still shocked, Pikachu went from my shoulder and started making a bunch of funny and cute faces at her. It did not make her laugh but it was more than enough to make her smile. I stayed in the gym for a few hours and talked to her. She had a doll hobby, not the creepy kind, and she seemed a lot more childish in her tastes. I was playing psychiatrist and friend at the same time. She knew this but did not care. It turns out that her father had pushed her to the point of abuse. So I suggested to keep the father doll and release the other innocents. Surprisingly, it turns out all the people she had arrested were some sort of free criminals. Now I was a bit heroic. I saved anyone I could. I knew more than well enough that even the best of the best systems had flaws. I left the next day after giving her my number. It wasn't romantic or anything. We were just friends and that worked fine for me. Sabrina felt almost like an anti-hero. Doing good by breaking the law. I was always an anti-hero type myself. Never liked that Joker was not killed. When I left the town, it felt a bit different. It was just as unique as before, but maybe a bit more pleasant. The next day Magikarp's evolution had been pending for a while now. I was thinking about where to evolve it. I know I should participate in the battle center on the S. I knew that the ship sank in the anime because of Jesse and James. I don't know if Giovanni will send other Team Rocket members to the S. The ship contains a lot of Pokemon to be stolen and I had already been registered on the passenger list, so he might come after me. Anyways, it is a vacation cruise which goes around the world. It's gonna make a stop at many small cities. One of the small cities is a town before Celadon. After that it sails away to Johto and onward. I can enjoy a vacation for about a week, after which Charmeleon can destroy Erica and I will be back on track. Mom was starting to stop worrying about me. I guess taking down 11 grunts and 4 gym leaders in 2 months is enough for her to not worry as much as before. There is only one problem with my speed. The league is in 1 year and 1 month. Game theory. At my current pace, even if I went to every single location that Ash visits, by walking, I would still have at the very least 6 months. The most time I will need to train my Pokemon is 2 months. I guess I should ask Oak. Hello Professor Oak, I actually had to ask you a question. What is it my boy? Your question have always been illuminating. The league is in 1 year. Okay, what's th? Oh, I would recommend going to another region. What? You can do that. Yeah, the Kanto, Johto, Hoenn and Kalos leagues have allowed any trainer to participate in 2 circuits at one time. So my options are Johto, Hoenn and Kanto. Johto is out but I can't decide between the other 2. Well, I will do that on a later date. For now I found a solution. Please tell me which region to go in the comments. Well, enough stressing. I need a vacation. Even though I play and have fun with them, my Pokemon deserve some pampering. Sometimes the best thing to do is to take a break. I always liked writing fanfics, so maybe I can write a book on the relationship between Slowpoke and Shelder and introduce Slowking to the world. Plus the Eevee books brought in a lot of money. If you haven't noticed, Pokemoning it up is not cheap. Even without a formal education, the cost of food, supplies, Pokeballs, potions, medicines and clothes is huge. My mom was a single mom and never spent more money than necessary. I wanted her to splurge but she still refused, saying, and I quote, "This might be useful for your journey and future savings." Enough contemplating. Today I enter paradise. 4 days later, oh, I am in paradise. I had turned off the additional gravity. I sleep till 9 AM, eat more food than necessary, swim and do whatever the hell I want. Hell, every single game ever concocted was on this ship. Even Gabite and Charmeleon, the resident battle maniacs, were enjoying themselves. I only held basic training. Only Magikarp was training, even that was minimal. I had finished the manuscript for my book. It wasn't very long but it was filled to the brim with scientific terms. The book company was responsible for translating science into English. Basically it made the book simple enough for the general public. My 100-page manuscript will probably be a 500-page book, meh. They said that I will be in stores in 5 months. Anyway, the battle center was the only major letdown. The trainers there were crap. They only had a few badges and that from the easy ones. The gym leader's difficulty was unofficial but important. It went 8, Shitty Sister 7, Brock before I came along 6, Erica 5, Blaine 4, Surge 3, Sabrina 2, Loha 1, Giovanni since I had beaten Sabrina, and the second below me had barely beaten Erica, it was disappointing. Anyway, enough of that. Today the captain had called me. Mr. Ketchum, I have a selfish request of you. What is it? Well, we are gonna pass a horde of Gyarados. The reports said that they were all hibernating. But the scouts have reported that the horde is awake. So you want me to protect the ship in case of attack? Yes. Why me? Sir, you were recommended by gym leader Sabrina. Sure, why not? It was a great opportunity for Magikarp to evolve. I had gotten a lot of weird looks. I mean, would you also not be suspicious of a very chiseled 12-year-old, actually 10, with no adult supervision on a luxury cruise? I also had to employ my infinite jump to survive the women who wanted to pinch my very cute cheeks. By the way, a NIF jump is lowering gravity to 0.5 and creating aura platforms under my feet to use as a foothold. I may or may not have gotten into a fight with a Machamp and beat the shit out of it for calling me a weak twerp. I also may have been recognized as the boy who beat 11 grunts and ate barbecue on top of the piles of their bodies. Okay, it's my fault for the attention I received, but meh. I was on the deck when I immediately stopped and called out all of my Pokemon. Gyarados swarm, save the civilians. Pikachu, Gabite and Magikarp on the offense. Now, Charmeleon evacuated the others while Ari went to alert the captain and provide visual onto the targets. A group of 10 Gyarados burst out of the water. The leader had a scar inning down from the face. Pikachu used Thunder on the leader, while Gabite used Dragon Breath. Magikarp went behind the Gyarados and used Body Slam on the leader to distract it. The fact that the leader went down within the first 10 seconds was a bad sign for the group, but they still carried on. They started charging up in Hyper Beam. Ari came down from the sky in a very impressive Brave Bird and took out another Gyarados. Seeing its own teammates working so hard and winning while it was just acting as a distraction caused Magikarp to evolve. The golden Magikarp turned into a monstrous blood red 9-meter long monstrosity. The other Gyarados were 6.5 meters. Mine was more than 1.5x times their size. The evolution made the evacuating spectators gawk. Hydro Pump and Hyper Beam. My voice reached the ears of the newly evolved Gyarados and it obeyed my commands and obliterated the remains Gyarados. The entire team congratulated Gyarados on its evolution. Hey Gyarados, have you ever wanted a nickname? It roared, which was a yes to me. How about Riptide or Tempest or Zabuza or Bahamut or Leviathan or Ragnarok or Poseidon or Ouroboros or Wyvern? Please tell me which one of these names should Gyarados have. 3 days later off. All good things gotta come to an end, sadly. But I am fired up and ready to train, and from the faces of my Pokemon, so are they. Ari, we are gonna combine Wing Attack, Quick Attack, Agility, Brave Bird and Steel Wing for your deadliest combo. Charmeleon, we are working on Fire Attacks and Speed. Leviathan, we are gonna master your new moves, Hydro Pump and Hyper Beam, and learn a few more. Gabite, we are working on combing Dragon Claw, Dragon Rage and Dragon Rush. Pikachu, work on your stamina and physical strength. I am gonna retrieve the newest member of our team. I have been sensing the goddamn egg for nearly 4 years. Sigh. Anyway, the Aura Pokemon who has a high chance of being Riolu is about a few kilometers from here. This egg is the reason I got off so early. Only a few Pokemon and most legendaries can actually use Aura and the egg has to be giving off Aura to be felt by me, so it is definitely a Riolu. I gave the Pokemon their training schedule and went ahead to get the egg. By the time I had come back the Pokemon were exhausted, particularly Leviathan, who had trouble getting used to the more serpent-like body it had. I had inspected all of my Pokemon by eye and Poke copyright decks for a sense of growth. Ari had a silky feeling to its feathers and moved particularly graceful manner in the sky. Its muscles were compact and it could fly up to 1.3 Mach. It knew Steel Wing, Wing Attack, Heck, Gust, Agility, Brave Bird, Quick Attack, Sand Attack, Air Slash and Body Slam. It was a monstrous 1.75 meters and had reached its species peak. Leviathan had hard and shiny blood red scales and moved like a whirlwind whose each move had been optimized for maximum destruction. It was a bit slow since its speed hasn't been trained. It knew Tackle, Flail, Splash, Hydro Pump, Water Gun, Hyper Beam, Bite, Body Slam and Whirlwind. It was an unbelievable 9 meters and had just evolved. Gabite had extremely hard and rough skin and moved like a shark in the water. Its every action during battle had a bloodthirsty vibe. It was an offensive tank. It knew Dragon Rage, Dragon Dance, Sandstorm, Takedown, Dragon Claw, Dragon Rush, Dig and Sand Attack. It was 1.7 meters, above the 1.4 average but not too monstrously big. It had made progress but wouldn't evolve for now. Charmeleon has fire red, toughened skin and it moved for maximum destruction. It always moved in an efficient way. It had tight and compact muscles. It knew Scratch, Ember, Smokescreen, Dragon Breath, Fire Fang, Flamethrower, Inferno, Flare Blitz and Fire Spin. It stood at an impressive 1.3 instead of the 1.1 average. It had made progress but would not evolve for now. Pikachu had soft electric colored fur and moved with the nimbleness and grace of an athlete. It was fast and would often zigzag around its opponent and strike unexpectedly. It knew Thunder Shock, Thunder Wave, Double Team, Electro Ball, Slam, Agility, Thunderbolt, Thunder Punch, Feet, Swift, Irony Tail and Bolt Tackle. I could still beat them all down with liberal use of Aura, but now with Leviathan, they might be able to beat me together. My aura had been growing slowly. The egg was completely white with a few blue rectangular patches. Mom had already talked to me and was happy that I was enjoying myself and hadn't lost myself into the world of Pokemon training like my father. Just calling someone who abandoned me and mom, my father, is getting on my nerves. Sheesh. I mean, I get it, the very best there ever was. But I am doing better than you with breaks. Thank you. I checked into the records for Red. While his Pokemon are classified, it is well known that he beat the circuit in 4 months. I am at 2 months and 1 week and have beat 4 gyms to take that. Erica will be a breeze. Blaine and Koga not so much. I can visit mom before going to beat Giovanni. Sigh, why Giovanni and Team Rocket so silent? I have 2 reasons. 1. I brought the team to the spotlight so they are laying low too. He is concentrated on Project Mewtwo. I hope it is the second one. Since beating Surge, my Battle Maniac hasn't had many opponents other than my own Pokemon and was raging for a fight. A fight which I knew Erica would sadly not be able to provide. This wasn't just based on assumptions. No, it was fact. The denying people who hate perfumes has sparked some controversy, but it went under the rug. Charmeleon had been itching for its first gym battle. Its rival, Gabite, had beaten 2 gyms on its own. Erica normally used 4-on-4 matches. I wonder if I can have Charmeleon sweep her. I mean, Magikarp sweep the sister, and Charmeleon is many times more powerful than Magikarp was. Sadly, Erica is not much stronger than the shitty sisters. I was walking with the egg in backpack. I had tried supplying it with my aura and my blood, but none seemed to speed up the hatching. It seems that the start was affected by the aura, but the rest was natural. It was like someone had stopped time for the egg, and the key was my aura. I felt an intention to hurt from ahead of me. There was a weird part. It must have been the Prinny caught by Ash. It wasn't particularly strong, so I had no intention to catch it. The Battle Maniac side of me wanted to fight it. Why not? Oi Prinny, one fight. Then come down here, you coward. At the end of my sentence, a Prinny leapt out of the grass and took a fighting stance. I dropped of my bag and took on my personal stance. Prinny moves like a boxer and rarely uses its legs in combos. We looked at each other and charged. He threw a punch at my face, which I went under and hit him with an uppercut. He staggered back and realized that he couldn't underestimate me. He charged again, but this time full power. I used aura body enhancement and removed my extra gravity. We met and I immediately hit him with one elbow and then another. Since he was pushed back a bit with his legs ahead of his body, I extended my leg around one of his and pulled back. He stumbled straight into my punch, which was followed by a kick. He did not have room to breathe and was completely outmatched. After a few more rounds and 1 bruise, Primeape was beaten unconscious. Man, that was a good fight. Without aura I would have been badly beaten and had way more injuries. I moved his body to the grass, where it would not be spotted, and walked on ahead. It was a good match for me. It did not rely heavily on technique and was built to fight. Man, I couldn't wait for Bruno. Surge may have been strong, but that was due to war. His technique wasn't the best and his body was too bulky and not agile. Bruno was a true fighting champion. He was balanced and was extremely skilled in many martial arts. He specializes in karate. He would be a delight to fight. After almost 1 hour of walking I smelled it. The extremely strong smell of perfume. I was never much of a deodorant guy, but I hated those extremely strong in-your-face smells. I mean, perfume is meant to complement your smell, not make your friends suffocate. This gets even worse in this life. My senses are way sharper than the normal humans from here, whose senses are sharper than the normal humans from my world. Thank God I had learned to block my senses when I was trying to recreate Ultra Instinct. I had basically turned off all my senses, including aura, and tried to listen to my instinct instead. It was a hard process that increased my self-control and mental fortitude. But I had no luck in entering such a state. To me, the city was practically if a major city had a bunch of trees in it. It doesn't contrast well at all and gives the vibe of forced progress at the cost of nature. The city had an astonishing nearly 1.5 to 1 woman to man ratio. That is higher than most animal species. It turns out that women like these smells way more than men. If I was born here, I would turn around and go to pallet or something. I mean, this strong of a smell for 10 years. I would have gone crazy. Still, the people and food were very pleasant once I had blocked out my nose. The people here were welcoming but looked almost tired of the perfume. Though there were a few snotty spoiled young teen girls going around with perfume, saying how great the smell was. I guess they are from the gym. This is why I don't want to be the champion. It's like being the Hokage. So much paperwork, corruption, and the goddamn politics. It is basically an overglorified burden and trophy. My end goal is to beat every single champion and live however the hell I want. Celadon Gym, you may have just have a perfume shop instead of a forest. Wait a minute, aren't most perfumes flammable? Is this why the gym burned as badly as in the anime? Their own perfumes had caused their downfall. The irony must have been pretty thick. So where was? Oh yeah, beating Erica's. Hello, how may I help you? She looked like I had personally chained her and forced her to do this with a smile on her face. I was hoping to challenge the gym leader and leave. Yes, Erica is available. Do you mind if we ask one question? Sigh, the dreaded perfume question. Do you like perfume? Nope, hate it. Itchy and gets blown away easily. I simply walked past her and into the gym. I went into the elevator and hit each and every button. When I arrived there, I said, where even is the leader? Ah, there she is. She has the bitchy aura, but I don't judge. I mean, some bitches that don't bother you aren't that bad. Who are you? Why are you here? Well, I was hoping for a gym battle. The field is ready, I don't mind. The field had a lot of plants and foliage, effectively giving her a home field bonus, but that bonus wasn't a big deal. It just showed a bit of pettiness or immaturity. That went a lot smoother than anticipated and was pretty good. Don't jinx it. Go Charmeleon. Go Victory Bell. Not bad. The Victory Bell had basic training. Not too strong, but a good challenge for the weaker challengers. No wonder Surge is so tough. The league has softened up too much, and now a bunch of arrogant cocky jerks believe themselves to be the most important thing in the world. Completely unrelatedly, I wonder how Gary is doing. I mean, I call Mom and Daisy almost every day, but I haven't heard much of him since I asked Oak for advice on the multiple regions dilemma. Charmeleon used Fire Spin and then Flamethrower. Dodge and use Leech Seed. It managed to dodge the Fire Spin by breath of a hair, but was hit straight on by Flamethrower and was knocked out. But it lacked elemental defenses. They were pretty speedy, but they couldn't deal much damage. Go Tangle. Use Vine Whip. Exact same story as before with the training. Dodge and use Inferno, then Smokescreen and Dragon Claw. She dodged the Inferno and even got a Vine Whip off before falling to the Dragon Claw. The field was scorched, but Charmeleon only had 1 bruise from the Vine Whip. Other than that, it was unscathed. This is my ace. Go Vileplume. It was decently trained. High defense, low attack was my rough estimate. It wasn't bad, much better than the shitty sister and around Sabrina's level. Stun Spore and Sunny Day. Is she taunting me with that Sunny Day? Dodge and charge up to max. Charge up to max referred to when Charmeleon used Dragon Dance to charge to max power. Go Solar Beam. Solar Beam is an extremely high level move that is known by lower levels Pokemon. These trainers are called movers cause they rely completely on one move. They are good at what they do but suck practically everywhere else. Gabite was a bit dependent on Dragon Dance, so imagine that but amplified like up to 10. Tank straight through it and fire max. She just like Sabrina didn't expect or prepare for Charmeleon to go over attack and hit the Vileplume in the face with max powered Dragon Rush. It had ended and I took the badge and left just as the receptionist had come down here. If she had come during the battle, I wouldn't have gotten my badge. I heard a bunch of frustrated noises and screams from the gym. Thank God I hit every single button on the elevator before leaving. I immediately booked it across the city and into my room at the Pokemon Center and slept there and left the next day. I had already toured all the places to visit before the gym battle. I knew that I was being hunted because I basically challenged and sweeped Erica after admitting to the receptionist's face that I hate perfumes. I may or may not have leaked this story to the locals. By today the entire town must know of me, the arrogance rusher and gym destroyer. I had sweeped 4 of my 5 gyms. I hadn't lost a single Pokemon either. So now here I was, facing against a Hypno that was hypnotizing the children here. How did I get here, you may ask? Well, the Hypno was hypnotizing the children and Oak asked me to fix it. Yeah, that's it. I simply had to make Hypno fall unconscious, not asleep. So I hit it in the face. Like imagine Krillin and Goku from Super, where Krillin's face was deformed. Yeah, imagine doing that to a Hypno. Anyway, I am on my path to Koga. The egg was showing signs of hatching, and Pikachu been bothering me to let it fight most of the trainers. I battle about 4 to 5 trainers a day in the town or on the routes. Near the cities I nearly fight 10 battles a day. So yeah, I fought a lot of disappointments every day. I have been adding extra constant vigilance training to their schedule to help with Koga. Since you know he was a ninja. The next day BTW. No Team Rocket base in the arcade today. I am at Susie's shop. She is a very popular groomer and is friends with Daisy. She is the one who designs a few outfits for Daisy and her Poke copyright mon along with keeping them in top shape. I was passing by when I saw her shop. I thought I will stop by when I saw around 20 Team Rocket members trying to beat all the coordinators, which was easy considering most of them don't train their Pokemon. What is going on here? I say in a quiet but aura-infused voice. Team Rocket is trying to steal all of our Pokemon. My eyes started turning electric blue. I released all my Pokemon except Leviathan as there was no water section near here. Beat them up. No killing. Saying that I took off and started beating the snot out of Team Rocket members while making sure not to in any way use or outwardly since this incident would be recorded by the store camera. Charmeleon was using contained fire and physical attacks. Pikachu was electrocuting all the Pokemon in a chain trying to line up the most at a single time. Gabite was using dragon dances and dragon claws to become stronger and stronger. Ari was protecting the civilians and was providing support and rooting out any surprise attacks from the sky. It took less than 5 minutes to take all 20 grunts out. By the time the League and police arrived I was once again eating a barbecue with all the civilians on top of the piles of Rocket members with the Pokemon laying around me. You are right, Ash. This barbecue tastes much better on the bodies of my enemies. You are saying it wrong. The saying I invented is a subsistence is peerless conceding that situated on the corpus delicti appertaining to seditionists. There were 4 officers who didn't even react. I recognized them from last time. The other 4 were unable to process anything as they were in shock. This time they had proof of me fighting with extreme grace and leaving destruction in my path. This time the proof of me feasting on the cadavers of fallen shall be proven true. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, after giving the report and basic answers to the questions, I was let go. There was no such thing as vigilantism in this world, plus technically self-defense. If so many criminals can evade jail with technicality, then a righteous child can easily avoid jail. I want that video to be public as helps to build up an image. So what's the easiest way to get it leaked? Tell the police I don't want the video to be released because it would be a very big hassle and annoyance. Flash forwards, League Headquarters Kanto, leak the video, I am sorry. Champion Lance, the hassle caused due to his lies shall be repaid. Yes sir, the assistant left and followed the champion's orders. An old lady walked up to Lance, she was Agatha. You never learned, did you? What do you mean? A letter was sent into headquarters by Ash, really what does it say? I quote, thanks Lance for the free publicity. I was really thinking how to get it public but then, I remembered you were an idiot, so I told the police that it would be a hassle. Anyways, just so you know I don't swing that way, you gay pedo. Silence, off. The words spoken in this chamber shall not reach anyone's pure ears. The happiness I derived from Lance's frustration would be more than enough to match all of Pallet Town generates in one day. Back to present future. Why will this work? Because Lance isn't complete idiots. I can already hear his screams of frustration and annoyance. Yay, little Lance is angry. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, the video was leaked and all my past achievements were brought to light. They weren't much but I had 1. Gone undefeated, and not lost a single Pokemon. 2. Beat up 11 grunts and this time 20 grunts. 3. Sweep the shitty sister, Erica, Surge and Sabrina. 4. Sabrina and infamous gym leader was sweeped by me. 5. I beat Erica after saying I hate perfume to the receptionist's face. 6. I beat Surge in hand-to-hand. 7. Having Gabite in a 10-meter Gyarados. 8. I am the world's youngest professor. 9. Have a best-selling book. 10. I am gonna release another book. Great advertising, thanks Lance. The video of my fight with Surge was also leaked. Together both videos had 340 million and 235 million views each. Thanks Lance, I am now very popular. Daisy was so happy for me cause she felt that she might overtake me. Mom was just happy that I was both happy and successful cause Red was just as successful but never happy. I wonder how Gary is doing. Professor Oak, I was wondering how is Gary doing. I haven't heard much from him or his bragging. Oh Gary, he actually beat both the sisters and Brock before he was beat by Surge. Really? I hope his ego was lowered a bit. He took it a bit hard but after he beat Surge and Sabrina he started going back to normal. Oh where is he? He was in a town where he captured a Primeape yesterday and he is staying there. Thanks, I was just wondering how he was doing. I hope his arrogance has been turned down. I can't fault you for that. I never 2 days later. Leviathan, you have gotten used to your body and new moves, so we will be learning new combos. Aqua Jet, Body Slam, Tackle and Bite. It is a simple combo. We will also be training your speed and elemental defenses. You will also be drawing with Water Gun. I want you to be able to change the thickness and carve out your name on every surface. This will increase your control and efficiency. Today I will be training with all the other Pokemon in a me versus except Leviathan all battle. No elemental attacks and in return I will wear this. I pull out a black piece of cloth and wrap it around my eyes. I also felt an intention of childish curiosity and to observe. I gave then and signal that we were being watched by a harmless observer. Begin. This is my UI training. I had shut down all my senses, even my aura sense, and am relying only on my instincts. I was not in a stance, I was just standing there arms by my side. I felt an attack come from behind and one from below me. I moved out the way and dodged by less than an inch. I felt another combo coming from the sky and one straight ahead of me that felt like a claw. I simply pushed my foot into the ground and ducked between the 2 attacks. Instead of waiting, I opened my eyes and went on the attack. I jumped over and dragon charging Gabite and tripped him. I grabbed onto Pikachu and threw him onto Ari and performed an axle kick on both of them and looked down the remains of the team. Charmeleon. He flexed and then ran straight to me and stopped in front of me and jumped onto the air and came down like missile. I caught him with my hands and redirected his energy back throwing him. Sheesh, even after so many months you guys are amateurs. You know you can come out now. I don't bite. Hello, I am Rebecca. I was just wondering what you were doing. Sorry if ended up spying on you. No big deal. I am just traveling through the town. We ended up talking a lot and when I arrived in the town I saw her dad waiting for her. Where were you? And who is this boy? Never mind. I will be training for the tournament which is in 3 weeks. What kind of dad doesn't take care of their 16-year-old daughter? I mean sheesh. He also have me a clue on how far ahead I am of August. 3 weeks. What kind of father are you? You don't even care. Oops. Did I say that out loud? From his facial expression. Yeah. I mean I am seriously pissed off by his bad fathering skills and I don't even have a father. He can't remember his past life. I mean if you can't dedicate your time to a family then don't have kids. If you want to have kids, then make some time for them. Or at the very least care about them. It isn't about you, it is about them. Even if your wife died then grieve and raise your children as she would have wanted. If I ever do end up having kids then, I will make time for them and play with them. Business parents also struggle with this but they still do their best. Also if you have a major hobby that you want to dedicate your time to then, include your children in them. I meant the father could have taught Rebecca some martial arts or some self-defense. All kids deserve parents but not all parents deserve kids. I completely stand by that statement. Sigh. You do not know the greatness of a fight. I am a fighter myself and happen to know that variety is the spice of life and that moderation of all things is necessary. You must be one of the fake fighters. You know nothing about true fighting. Fighters don't speak with their mouths but their fists. I say, as I perform a taunting action. In the arena, you really shouldn't do this for me. I may, I mean that you don't need to doff the sworn by. Thank Aura for enhanced senses. She was blushing heavily but I am not into the younger variety. The next day, I came to the dojo. So you're here. I go. Anthony, are we gonna fight or not? He was angry at being interrupted but did nothing. He pointed to a fighting dojo. Go Hitmonchan. Where is your fighting Pokemon? My body is my weapon. Is what I said as I walked into the arena, picked up a stone and threw it into the air and got into a stance with a taunting gesture to the Hitmonchan. The moment the stone landed, I charged straight to Hitmonchan and hit him in the face with an uppercut. What? Are you not prepared? I had a maniacal smile on my face. Hitmonchan got up and charged at me with a bullet punch. I simply rotated my way around the punch and hit Hitmonchan with a backhand and a side kick. To my surprise it was got up and Anthony got out of his shock and was looking at me like a monster. Use Mach Punch. Compared to Ari you might as well be in slow motion for me. I simply twisted my upper body and tripped him into the ground. I followed up by jumping and slamming an aura-infused punch a few inches away from Hitmonchan's face. I simply got up and said, you may become the greatest fighter but never will you be a good father. Sometimes stop and see what is more important. People lives don't end when they die, it ends when they lose faith. I then proceeded to leave. The next day I was planning on training my aura but Professor Oak interrupted me and told me that there was a town near me that was having problems with the local power plant. This was probably Muck and or Brimmer. Oh. G Ash caught Muck but Muck wasn't that strong. Hell he was a weak link on the team. I also never understood why Squirtle never evolved. I mean okay Bulbasaur I get it but why not Squirtle? Anyway Gary is around 10 to 11 days behind me. He should be near Celadon. In the show and games he had the Pidgey line, so his strength is not questionable. The only problem is that Gary hates perfumes or anything feminine really. I know, I grew up with his sister and his grandfather. He may be kicked out but he could sneak in easily. There was no protections against that and knowing Gary he could pull it off. What is that smell? First Celadon and now this. Am I cursed to forever be haunted by such bad smells? At the very least Celadon was covered in perfume and not this. The city was now visible and I saw one thing. Pollution. The sky looked darker and more gloomy and the river looked almost gray. The lights were out and looked like the city was abandoned. I walked into the police station with Pikachu on my shoulder and a Poké copyright dex in my hand. I was sent to investigate the pollution in electric management sectors. What are they doing? Sending children to the monsters. Oh they are worried about me. In response, I grinned a particularly bloodthirsty smile and said, "Ooh, don't worry about me, worry about the 4 Pokemon." My almost mania cowards had them on edge. Before I left. The only reason I was even there was to let them know that I am here. I mean why else would I go to a police station? Hello, would you happen to know the direction to the power plant? Yeah, take a left from there and after that street take a right. Thanks. I didn't just ask him for directions. No, I could easily feel the aura of Mucks and Grimers. No, that man had the intention to observe and test me. When I got close, I saw an badge, a league badge. So Agatha sent someone to watch over me. I mean why else would you send a rising star and talented trainer to such a task? You have more than enough manpower to do it yourself. So I slipped a paper into his pocket. I wonder what their reactions will be like. The paper read, "Thanks for the help. Don't need it, so don't try and manipulate me. Any further attempts will be responded by force. Hello gay pedo champion." Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, the power plant. It had the stench of garbage to the power 4. I mean thank God I can remove me senses or at least suppress them. I felt a few presences, around 20. They must have been Grimers and the one Muck. I kicked the door open and walked in like I owned the place. That was when I felt a steel beam nearly fall on me. Instead of panicking, I changed my body stance and stood still. The steel beams fell around me but didn't touch an hair on me. Come on and fight. How about a bet? You win, I leave. I win, you leave. Gah. Muck Muck. That roughly translates to attack. Gabite and Pikachu go. Target practice. They immediately engaged with the slime Pokemon with long range attacks and a few physical attacks. Pikachu used the leftover electricity to make an electro ball and fire at the leader. Gabite cover Pikachu. Pikachu followed my instruction and charged a massive electro ball which he then compressed into a normal size. The Muck tried to attack but a Dragon Claw was enough to stop him. The electro ball was shot and most of the Grimers were killed by the ball. The rest were taken out by Gabite. Leviathan, would you be kind enough to clean this area? Gyaaaa. It performed a surf and practically washed out all the dirt. I sent Leviathan into the river to let it stretch its fins. Yeah sure. It had been confined to Pokeballs and often locked due to its large size. The sheer size of a 9.6 meter Gyarados is pretty restrictive outside of the league areas. It may also gain battle experience by 5th in the Pokemon there. Now I need to completely use my aura for this next technique. We are all aware about what pollution is. It is like a poison to our nature and the environment. Because of various kinds of pollution our nature and the surroundings are affected very much. It is because of pollution which causes the imbalance of our ecosystem which then results in dangerous natural phenomenon like tsunami, flood, drought, etc. Air pollution has resulted in global warming which disrupts our environmental system. Water bodies are so polluted that the aquatic animals are going on decreasing day by day and also terrestrial animals including humans are suffering from many diseases due to unhygienic and impure water. We all should understand the importance of our nature and take some individual steps to solve this problem of pollution. It is not good to only depend on the government actions for the changes. We should plant more trees, manage the wastes properly, avoiding the use of plastics and many more effective steps should be taken by us. I introduce you to Mega Bullshit No Justsu, Patriotic Speech, Pollution Edition. I used a lot of my energy in that one. It was much longer than last time but I hope I got the point across. I had to use charisma enhancement, aura voice, fringes level decreaser and sentimental speech with a few sprinkles of bullshit technique. 3 days later today should be the day I reach Fuchsia City. The maps and average travel times are all thrown of balance when you have an aura charged 10-year-old going the average jogging speed of an adult for 12 hours. I made a report to Professor Oak about the Muck and Grime situation in the town. Mom was still worried about the Team Rocket incident since there might be even more Team Rocket members coming after me. Even after I explained that I could ride Ari at Mach 1, I guess she is my mom and has every right to worry. The city was pretty cozy. It had almost Victorian-era construction with a traditional Japanese house in the middle. It always surprises me that a few towns and cities so close to each other have such a different culture, be so diverse and unique and still manage to fit into one region with practically no discrimination. It almost looked like an expanded town rather than a city. The sky was clear and the air was pretty fresh. The people weren't the most friendly but they weren't that bad. It was already night when I arrived, so I went to the Pokemon Center. The next day I felt an almost negligible shaking of something, immediately jumped towards the egg. It was hatching. The cracks got bigger and bigger until it slowly came out. Riolu. Yay. My progress in Aura had almost stagnated because I didn't have an Aura Pokemon. But this cute tiny 80 centimeters Pokemon would be my Aura partner. But it is still a Pokemon. Hello little one, my name is Ash. I am your Aura partner. Real Rio. It was happy that it got an Aura Guardian. All Pokemon are born with instinctive knowledge about themselves and a few things about the world. For Aura Pokemon, they know about Aura and its masters. It knew Quick Attack, Faint and Swords Dance. Pretty bare bones, but that Swords Dance is pretty unusual. Must be either Egg or TM move. Riolu meet Pikachu, Ari, Gabite, Charmeleon. You will meet Leviathan later. The Pokemon are treating Riolu almost like a little brother. Even Charmeleon has a soft spot. And little Riolu is basking in all the attention and praise it is receiving. Ah, my logical and cold heart is melting at this point. Riolu won't be training beyond basic accesses for a few days. Pikachu and Gabite are gonna be used for the fight against Koga. Ari and Leviathan will be used against Blaine and we will see about Giovanni later. Okay guys, hi, Gabi, Char, Pikachu. They looked fired up and ready to show off their skills to their younger sibling. Riolu was a dude, so brother. Anyway, when I was walking out of the Pokemon Center, I felt an intent to observe coming from someone in the trees and an even fainter presence observing the person observing me. This was probably Koga and the little girl. I walked up to the gym and just before the entrance, I turned around and said, little girl, don't you know that following someone is rude? Also, old man, why are stalking such a young one, you lolicon? The girl immediately came down from the tree while Koga gracefully jumped down. My name is Janine and God, you promised that you wouldn't follow me. The world isn't as safe as you think, Janine. It is my duty to protect you. Why the father-daughter drama man? If I wanted drama, I would have stuck around Erica, Sabrina or Daisy. But when I beat the trainer you asked me to. You said I was strong enough. That was a lie. Yeah, a lie. Can you guys just be honest with each other? Hanyon or whatever your name is, your dad is just worried about you and rightfully so. There are many evil people out there like Team Rocket. Koga, if you give your word to someone, keep it. If you don't want her to go, tell her the truth. Sheesh, all of this drama can only be solved with honesty. That doesn't matter. You are here to battle me, right? Let's fight. Man, Koga is just unnecessarily serious. Well, the badge is what I came for. Plus mom is nagging me to come back soon, and after beating Blaine I want to meet up with Gary and then mom. Also the book publisher said that they are gonna be sending my book to me for proofreading before release. Fine, let's fight. Not here. In the gym. The battlefield looked plain and like it had nothing on it, but with eyes like mine, you could see a few things off. The ground was uneven by a few cm, the size was off by a few inches and the light was extremely dim. The first two was made for trainers who had gotten used to the normal field. Their normally advantage had turned into almost a crutch. Carnival games to the same thing. The last one was a direct advantage to Koga and his Pokemon. 4 on 4. Go coughing. Pikachu. Use poison gas, dodge and agility. Another advantage he had was that the gym was indoors. This would cause any sound or gas to be contained and its effect amplified. The coughing is pretty weak and Pikachu is my third strongest Pokemon behind Leviathan and Gabite, so the poison will not affect Pikachu too much or at all. Still, I can now predict that he will use underhanded tactics to win. Pikachu successfully dodged and raised its speed. Keep on increasing your speed. Coughing, use Smokescreen. This tactic would be way more effective if used on amateur trainers, but I had trained the senses of all my Pokemon to an extreme degree. In the higher league, Smokescreen only works for a few seconds or on the audience. The smoke mixed with the poison to create entrapped room. By now Pikachu was fast enough to beat most of his Pokemon in a few strikes. Volt Tackle. Dog, was all Koga was able to say before his coughing fainted. Koga was weak to physical attacks and his coughing was pretty weak. Go Muck. Use Earthquake. Pretty strong move. Pikachu jumped into the air, Thunderbolt and Body Slam. The Earthquake was pretty weak and didn't affect me at all. Use Muddy Water. Ah, I get it. Use Earthquake to weaken the trainer rather than the Pokemon. Muck couldn't even start with Muddy Water before being electrocuted and Body Slammed into by Pikachu. Pikachu agility and quick attack. Muck was pretty tanky comparatively, so it took the hit pretty well. It responded by using Muddy Water. Pikachu was mildly hurt but could go on. Pikachu now Thunderbolt. The Thunderbolt struck the Muck and took it out. Pikachu was hit only once, so it could fight one more. Pikachu, you wanna fight more or wanna retire? Hi. It looked at me as if I had gone mad before returning into a battle stance. Go Venomoth. Pikachu Thunder Wave. Venomoth was sent out for its rather diverse variety of spores and irritability. Let the Venomoth get a bit of its own medicine. No dodge. Too late. Venomoth was paralyzed. Thunderbolt. Venomoth could only helplessly watch its own demise come towards it, unable to move. It was a one-hit KO. I guess Venomoth is not his ace but a setter up in this world. You have earned the right to fight my ace. Go Crobat. Pikachu, set up your last agility and Volt Tackle. There is a limit to how much a Pokemon can boost. Like Issei Hayadu, it is the limit of the physical body. The fact that Pikachu can perform 7 abilities is mind-blowing. Dodge and Steel Wing. The Crobat was a fast Pokemon, not as fast as a supercharged Pikachu, however it lived a Volt Tackle with a few major injuries. Use Poison Gas. Shit, this is much denser and stronger than coughing. Use all you power Electro Ball. Pikachu concentrated all of its power to create one supercharged ball of thunder. Crobat had no chance to dodge, so a battered Pikachu had just sweeped Koga. Yay. You have armed the badge, take it. Yes, 6/8 badges. The next day I passed by the Safari Zone when traveling, of course I didn't enter. If I wanted more Pokemon, I would go to other regions. Speaking of other regions, I was wondering if I should go to Kalos or to Hoenn. I mean, I love Blaziken and the gyms there are petty, unique and different, plus Daisy is there. I mean, Greninja is great and all, but the real reason both of these options are valued equally are Serena. Either a region with good gyms and good Poke copyright mons and a good girl, or a region with great gyms, bad Pokemon, few executions, and an extremely great girl. I mean, mentally I am 10. I was born with extra information and no memories except of fiction. So I have no libido or sexual preference even though I know the details. So there was no worries about her being too young or younger than me. Plus 10-year-old Serena looks more 14 than 10. The major problem with Kalos is Clemont and his sister, as too many important events are lined up with their interference in Ash's journey, so if I want something similar to canon I need them. I mean, I can and in canon if it needs be, but I want to preserve it if I can. The bad quality of Pokemon isn't a worry because I can just catch the Pokemon who are exceptions like Ash. He did surprisingly well in this region with only a few major goofs. He had pseudo-legendary and a balanced team with fan favorites like Greninja, Holocha, Goodman and Noivern. That is for a later date though. Where was I? Oh yeah, the drawbridge. I just surfed on Leviathan. Why not Ari? Because permission to fly above cities is only permitted for trainers with 8 badges or for emergencies. I was forced to put Pikachu in his Pokeball. I mean, it was a hassle getting permission from Officer Jenny, but after that it was smooth sailing for 10 minutes. What happened after those 10 minutes? I ran into a herd of wild Wailord, and by herd I mean 5. But those 5 were more than big enough to classify. I just jumped off from Leviathan and asked it to battle them. It would be a great way to earn battle experience. Plus I wanted to know if it was trained enough to notice the hidden 6th Wailord. If it passed I would start its elemental training, if not then even more normal training. Of course for this approach of letting it battle alone, I had to get soaked, but you win some you lose some. Anyway, after causing nearly 4 different tidal waves, Leviathan floated to the top with 6 Wailord behind him. You passed the test. We are starting elemental training from tomorrow. Good job. It is always a good thing to get the opinion of your Pokemon. I can ask my Pokemon about which region to go to next. After reaching the shore, I called out all my Pokemon including Riolu. I wanted to know if you guys have any preference to travel to a certain region. Once I am a professor or champion, I can carry 12 Pokemon at a time, so don't worry about staying at the ranch. Hoenn or Kalos, it is fine if you don't have any preference. Leviathan chose Hoenn as it has a lot of water. Pikachu wanted to meet Serena. Ari was neutral. Riolu didn't have much info, but it considered Serena as my mate, so it wanted to meet her. Gabite and Charmander were neutral. Oak already said he was neutral between the choices. Daisy would want me to come to Hoenn. I guess I will ask Mom later. 1 week later I passed by Weird Mansion and a few Pokemon centers before I reached a large forest. Normally it would be a generic forest to caper that it was famous for having a large amount of Pikachu. Now reservoirs like this are mega rare because point 1. They are usually league protected too. For such a group to form in the wild it needs an extremely strong leader or a large number of strong Pokemon or both. A reservoir like this is perfect practice for Pikachu. I mean the Pikachu there aren't that much stronger, but it should provide a challenge for my current Pokemon. Pikachu hasn't had much resistance beyond gym leaders, and any trainers I come across are obliterated. The only reason my Pokemon don't have egos is that I beat their asses every day. Also Pikachu training has stagnated the most. Ari has reached the peak of Pidgeotto and will evolve soon. Gabite is at a level it can evolve but still has more potential in this form. Same goes for Charmander. Gyarados evolved a week ago and has lots of potential. Pikachu has reached a plateau in physical power and his elemental progress has slowed down considerably. Riolu is bursting with potential and my own proficiency with aura training has skyrocketed. I have been able to use aura constructs more seamlessly and in more shapes. My gravity had increased to 4x times normal and healing worked on a few butts but not on major wounds. It also took less energy and was much easier than before. This should be a good experience for Pikachu to learn about how both strong and weak it is. I should be at around 1 month to 2 months ahead of OG. Ashes he made lots of stops between the last gym. There was one episode between Sabrina and Erica. And between Brock and the shitty sister. While there were 26 episodes between a battle between Koga and Blaine, where was I? Right, Pikachu clan. I will be calling it a clan because reservoir is a mouthful. I had trouble at finding it for about 5 seconds, after which I asked the Pikachu on my shoulder for directions. It could easily sense the electrical discharges given by the Pikachu. Now why doesn't everybody do this? Well, because it is a high level technique that doesn't help much during battling as it can only sense its own type. I followed the directions till I found a clearing with a 50 Pikachu in a group. They immediately turned hostile. A few loosened their stance when they saw my Pikachu, but they didn't quite relax all the way. One of the Pikachu walked to the front. It had a defining scar on its cheek. I shall christen you Scarface Pikachu. It basically looked at me then to Pikachu. Pikachu looked at me and then went toward the group. It started mixing with the others, while I stayed where I was. Pikachu Thunderbolt if you need me. I will be training with the rest of the team down near the river, okay? Hi. I will be back at the end of the day, hi. I trained with my Pokemon till around the sunset when we stopped and started eating. Ari was mad that it wasn't being given a chance to evolve and that it had been stuck as an Pidgeot for almost 1 full month. It only started being cordial when I told her that I will be using her against Blaine. Charmeleon had learned Inferno and Body Slam. Gabite was completely set on reaching its peak power after I showed her a photo of a Garchomp from the Poké copyright decks. Gyarados has been mostly expanding its moves with Vine, Brine, Defog, Waterfall and a few other miscellaneous moves. When I came to the clan at night I saw a bunch of Pikachu playing free for all tennis with an Electro Ball and 50 Pikachu. They stopped when they saw me. I simply walked to my Pikachu. Even though they all looked the same, I could easily differentiate. How was your day, buddy? It looked almost like a teenager that had been placed with kids against its wishes and was asked by his parents now the day was. Looks like my oil. Chew is a bit mature comparatively, huh? You learned anything new? It got stronger, huh? With Riolu having started aura training with me, I could pretty much understand to Pokemon. Not like understand the words but the meaning behind those words. You can stay here for a week before we leave, okay? It mostly hung out with the older Pikachu and a week passed like it was nothing. The end of the week today is the day I leave the clan. Anyways, Pikachu wasn't that attached but he did get stronger, so I consider this a win. My Pikachu was second only to the leader of the clan. He did learn a few more tricks and a few new moves, but the most important thing was that Pikachu had regained his motivation to improve and he learned one of his strongest moves. Thunder. After saying out goodbyes, we walked out to a town where we would be staying the night and presumably the next day. It took about 3 hours of solid walking with Pikachu on my shoulder. Now Pikachu weighed at around 10 kgs. Normal trainers would barely be able to lift him in the air, 10-year-olds, and most adults wouldn't be able to keep Pikachu on their shoulders, but thanks to my increasing physical strength, I can do this easily. Riolu has been coming along well and Ari was getting mad at me for not getting to Blaine sooner. Anyway, the reason I mentioned Pikachu weight was, Mister, can I hold your Pikachu? It was a brown-haired kid with an Eevee in his hand. Ah, wasn't this the one kid who was being forced by his brothers to evolve his Eevee? Yeah, it's that one, isn't it? There is only one reason I shall help you. His brother's hair. I mean, I look at their animated faces. I laughed the first time I saw them. I wonder how weird they look in real life. Kid, is that an Eevee? Yeah, why are you asking? Well, I just wanted to let you know that you don't need to evolve your Pokemon to let it become stronger. Really, man, this kid needs a good role model. Well, practically all of the characters from Pokemon are in dire need of a better role model. Haha, as if. Fire is the best. No, just look at Vaporeon, he is the best. As if Jolteon is the best. I looked at them, and fell down laughing. Ha 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 ha, you guys look like a commercial. Water Boy, your hairline is receding so far back that it is running from your forehead. Fire Boy, you have the exceptional gift of eyebrows that divide your head into a top and bottom half. Tiny Thunder Boy Amazon asked for a refund on their wig, ha 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 ha. Their faces were so priceless that I couldn't help but compare them to the shitty sisters, just not so bad and not so weak. Rage may cause irrationality but also unity. As such they banded together against me. What did you say? I'll say it again, mister. Even my hair wants to run away from me. We challenge you to a fight, 1 versus 3. Since you are morons, you 3 can fight my Pikachu at the same time. The fact that Pikachu was evolved through evolutionary stones and wasn't evolved and was challenging their ideology was noticed and noted. Go Flareon. Go Vaporeon. Go Jolteon. Go Pikachu. It was an impromptu battlefield. Ah, they are very similar to and dare I say inspiration for the three brothers in Unova. Anyway, battle begins. Pikachu dodge and only retaliate. Show them the chasm of power thou shalt have cultivated within 2 months. Ember, Water Gun, Thunder Wave. An embarrassment to all type specialists. Pikachu barely moves enough and dodged the attacks by a few inches. It just stood there like a statue, unmoving in an almost taunting manner. Again, yeah, charge. They are pre-gym trainers and pretty weak ones at that. I guess I will wrap this up. Pikachu, if you don't knock them out in 20 seconds, no ketchup for you. The moment I said this, an intense battle-thirsty aura came over the battlefield, and a few seconds later the only thing that remained was a crater and 3 unconscious Pokemon. Evolving isn't everything. If you don't train, then even a Dragonite can lose to a Pikachu. Saying that I mysteriously disappeared, never to be seen again by the 4 brothers. Man, their haircuts were worth the few hours of setbacks I had to take. I had one goal in mind for today. Defeat Snorlax. I didn't want to catch it but to defeat it. I will be using Ari. It took only a few hours of walking before Oak conveniently mentioned a town with water problems, and just like that I was on official league business. It took another few hours to reach the power plant and find the Snorlax. When I saw a sleeping 10 feet tall monster of a Pokemon, I knew that Ari was in for a fight. Go Ari. You may evolve today. Snorlax is our problem and you are the solution. Hi. It was at that moment that it woke up. There was no extra gravity on that moment. Snorlax SNOR. Hyper Beam. Brave Steel Slam. Brave Bird Steel Wing Body Slam. The combination did a decent chunk of damage. It would take only 15 more. SNOR. It was charging at Ari. Dodge and use agility followed by quick steel wing at the feet. Get him unbalanced. It worked perfectly and it fell, but it took only a few moments to get back on its feet. Thankfully a moment was all that was needed to set up our strongest move. Brave Bird. Steel Wing. Wing Attack. Body Slam. Tackle. Quick Attack. Agility. Peck and Air Slash. It pushed R's body to the very limit and would leave it in a very weakened state after it, but it was powerful. Imagine a bird with glowing steel wing and beak coming at you with blades of air and speeding up alongside the blades from 100 feet in the air onto you. Yeah, the Snorlax fainted, but I moved its body into an uninhabited cave. But Ari slowly bathed in a white light. It went from an impressive 1.75 meters to 2 meters. It finally became an Pidgeot after 2 months. Yay. After going through any injuries and running by Nurse Joy, we celebrated a lot. Even Pokemon had hopes and dreams, and Ari had completed one of his major goals. Become a Pidgeot. Now Ari was imposing and graceful. He cut through the air like there was no resistance. His moments were laced with precision and there wasn't a single wasted movement in the sky. It had gone from 3rd to 2nd in raw power and 1st in combat. Gabite was getting a bit anxious, but other than that it was fine. 2 days later I was just waking up in my tent at 6 a.m. when Professor Oak called me. Ash, how are you doing? I am fine, Professor. Why did you call me at this hour? You don't even wake up at this time. I just wanted to let you know that Daisy will be competing in her finals for the coordinators competition in Hoenn within 3 weeks. I wanted to know if you can be there. If I fly on Ari at optimal speed and distance I can cover around 100 kms in around 1 day including rests and a few breaks. It will take around 4 days of continuous travel. If there are 21 days left then I need to leave in 17 days. If I round to 14 is extra time to reach the competition in Hoenn. I have 2 weeks. Can I beat Blaine within 2 weeks? Yes, easily. I will be there for her. Thanks, you were always there for her and your presence may help her morale. Yay. That above conversation means one thing. Speed. I am speed. I have to speed up and beat Blaine, and if stopped by Viridian I can beat Giovanni, then I can directly start a new journey in Hoenn. There are lots of unimportant events I will ignore. I increased my walking speed by using the aura I regenerate and removing the extra gravity. I changed the training schedule to fit in better with the changes and rode over Ari for a few times. It was the very next day that I walked into a town with 2 unofficial gyms competing to be the only gym in the town. I simply challenged both of them to a fight by insulting both of them. Scyther and Electabuzz versus Gabite. Needless to say Dragon Rush destroyed them. After bruising their ego and leaving I ran into a circus. A circus with a weird fire-playing magician who was failing miserably. You're doing it wrong. If you instead try it like this along with this it will be much more showy. I taught him how to truly use fire as a trick. He kept on calling me sensei and master for some reason and cried when I left. Weirdo. I found a Jigglypuff who had a very sore throat. I instantly knew who this Jigglypuff was. I gave it a berry to heal and guided the Jigglypuff into the town Oak 2 gyms as they wasted my precious time. I passed an area where an expedition was going to begin in almost a month. I guess I am a month ahead of both O, G, Ash and Gary. Anyway, I kept on going for a while until I decided to take a breather and rest for 1 full day. It was in that 1 day vacation in which my Pokemon rested and recuperated. I passed by signs saying that Jane's parents are missing, which was completely false. It was just a ploy to get him to the family. I was walking when I felt someone trying to steal my Pokeballs. It was a Farfetch, Charmeleon, Flame Wheel and Dragon Claw. Farfetch stood no chance. I was barked at by weird Growlithe, but I used Aura to calm him down. It was a pretty nice technique that makes you more approachable. Officer Jenny came to see it barking at me, so she apologized and asked if she could do anything for me. I asked for a few directions to make sure I was en route, and happily I wasn't off by God. I started remembering my old days as a child when I saw a bunch of 7-year-olds running around me. The townsfolk were rarely visited by any trainers as this town falls on a shortcut nobody takes as it only saves a few days of travel. Including my break, it had been 1 week and I haven't even seen a hair of Blaine. I stopped by a kid's school when I saw a bunch of children. The pure nostalgia must have shown on my face or something, cause the teacher came up to me and said that it was mostly the older people who came here with such nostalgia. The children of course noted my Pokeballs and were very excited to see a strong Pokemon. Ari basked in attention. Leviathan was offended when the children ran away from him. Charmeleon and Gabite were non-cooperative and Pikachu was bribed by the kids with Ketchum. Riolu didn't mind as kids have pure souls or something. After spending a few hours I left and neared the city finally. The games don't do justice to the sheer size of a region. It would take a few months of on-foot travel if you went in a straight line. After a week of dilly-dally I finally reached Cinnabar. The gym was closed to tourists, but I simply walked up to a disguised Blaine and ripped his disguise off and challenged him. How did you know it was me? Oi old man, I ain't blind like you. I know what kind of person you are. Now can you hurry up, I need to beat you and go back to mom. A few tick marks grew on his head before a nostalgic smile formed at his face. It must have been cause I am similar to Red. The battlefield. Blaine walked me over to the battlefield suspended over a volcano. It was pretty unique, but who am I to judge? The amount of heat negates most water types and a few other types. The fact that falling off the battlefield is a serious threat and the fact that fire types are enhanced here shows that Blaine doesn't play fair. 4 on 4. Fine with me, old man. While his face didn't change a bit, the twitching of his eyebrows gave me all the signs I needed. Go Rapidash. I'm not bad at all. Very nicely trained, taken care of and well fed. Go Ari. Pidgeot. Hi. Rapidash's flames flared up and the atmosphere started heating up. Ari was completely unaffected by the heat as I had them withstand much higher temperatures in training. Wing attack and agility, tank it and body slam. Ari's wing started glowing and she immediately flew towards Rapidash and hit it with the wing. Rapidash had minor scratches but nothing else. It jumped into the air and came down on Ari with a great amount of force. Dodge and brave bird, and dodge it did. Ari managed to scrape by the body slam before flying into the air and coming down like a missile and hitting the Rapidash to oblivion. When the dust settled, Ari was standing without a scratch but a bit tired and Rapidash was down for the count. Ninetales use Inferno. A great inferno of fire swept towards Ari, increasing in heat along the way. Cut through it with steel wing. Ari immediately hardened herself and flew into the tsunami of fire and came out the other side before hitting Ninetales off the platform and into the side of the volcano. Not bad, Blame. You were very experienced. Thanks, kid, but I didn't just sit around and gain experience. I battle. Go Arcanine use Flamethrower. Ari steel wing and brave bird. Ari dodged the flamethrower by flying out of the top of the volcano and coming down like a bullet. It hit Arcanine with the force of a truck. Arcanine stood true to its power and after a few moments, it got up again. Arcanine extreme speed. Ari used steel wing as a defense. Ari's feathers turned into iron and Ari retreated into her wings like a cloister. Arcanine tried but the wings kept up with the assault leveled onto it. For one moment Arcanine guard went down and in that moment Ari hit the Arcanine with a Giga Impact and threw Arcanine out. Not bad, Ari, but that's enough for today. Go Gabite. Gabite had reached its peak in this state and learned all the moves it could. Well kid, you managed to make me bring out my ace. Go Magmortar. A Magmortar jumped out from the lava and into the field. Gabite looked the Magmortar dead in the eye with one thing. The intent to destroy. I had taught my Pokemon how to express emotions through their energy and this was a bit unnerving to see a Gyarados sue the intention to love something. Though Levi using the pure intention to destroy and terminate was also pretty unnerving. Well whatever, back to the fight. Magmortar used Fire Spin and Fire Bust. Trap and attack Gabite Dragon Rush and Dragon Dance whenever you can. Magmortar threw a tiny flame which expanded into a circle of fire around Gabite after which Magmortar charged up an attack in its mouth. At the same time Gabite had finished 3 Dragon Dances. Magmortar released the burst of flu in front of it. The moment it was released a claw cut through the fire and onto Magmortar. The claw was followed by an entire body slamming into Magmortar. It was forced to slide a few meters back. Enraged Magmortar burned the ground and everything near it with lava plume. Keep on Dragon Dancing and use close combat. The heat given off by lava plume was dismissed by Gabite as Charmander's flames was on the same level. It took 3 Dragon Dances more to reach the limit of its current body after which Gabite charged towards Magmortar with a Dragon Rush and hit it with a Dragon Claw. Magmortar took the beating pretty well and stood up before using Overheat. The heat damaged Gabite but Gabite pressed on and used Takedown on Magmortar followed by close combat. After nearly a minute of fighting, Magmortar had fallen and Gabite was victorious. Gabite was bathed in a white light and changed its shape. Gabite had evolved into a Garchomp, a nearly 2.3 meter tall Garchomp with a very intimidating stature. Garchomp, I believe that was a cry of victory. That was a good match. You deserve this badge more than most trainers. He gave me the badge. I stayed only for a day before flying back to Viridian. Tomorrow I am gonna beat Giovanni. The next day. Today is the day I finally beat Giovanni's face into the ground. I couldn't have him arrested or anything really because I hadn't found any Team Rocket bases or any other grunts. The T he used was a Persian, Rhyperior, Nidoqueen and Nidoking. The 4-on-4 match with Giovanni should be interesting to say the least. I made a reservation a few days ago from my Poke copyright decks just in case he isn't there. This is my final Kanto badge. The Earth badge. Hello Giovanni. How are you doing? The surprise on his face wasn't there, instead there was annoyance and anger. You really are his son, aren't you? I couldn't care less about how like my father I am. I am who I am and I will always be like that. What you gonna do about it? I am gonna beat you and then I am gonna beat your dad and bring back my criminal M. Can you just shut up and battle cause mom is waiting for me. The tick marks on his face are evident. Go Persian. Go Pikachu. Thunder and quick iron tail. Persian gave off an aura of luxury but I could see the muscles carved beneath the skin. Pikachu immediately summoned thunder from the sky and onto Persian who couldn't dodge it. Persian was sent flying to the edge of the arena where it stopped sliding. Sadly however, the moment it recovered it was hit with an iron tail in the face, knocking it out. Not bad dude but you gotta do better than that. I can do much better than that you child. The frustration was leaking through. Yes this is exactly what I wanted. An enraged Giovanni. Go Nidoking. Earthquake. Pikachu jump and use Swift. The muscle-bound Idu stood at its full height and stomped on the ground. It was at this time that the entire earth started shaking. Just before the shaking started Pikachu jumped into the air and started making a bunch of stars and threw it at the Nidoking and landed back onto the ground. Agility and quick iron tail when he's distracted. Nidoking of course dodged the attack and was about to initiate another attack when he was hit in the back by Swift. Before Nidoking could even remember that Swift can't miss, it was hit by an speed-enhanced quick attacking Iron Tail Pikachu in the face and was promptly knocked out. Pikachu was getting tired but it could still take on one more Pokemon. Go Rhyperior. Rock Throw. Pikachu jump and use them as stepping stones. Thunderbolt and Swift followed by Agility and Iron Tail. Rhyperior pushed its feet into the ground with his hulking figure and shot a large amount of smaller rocks at Pikachu. Pikachu meanwhile jumped from in between these rocks in what can only be called super speed. It charged up electricity and shot a bolt at Rhyperior which did nothing but blind the 4 Pokemon. The blinded Pokemon was hit by Swift from behind before being iron-tailed in the face. Rhyperior was clearly knocked out by the final moves. Sheesh Giovanni the rock-type gym leader was beaten by a Pikachu. Can you believe this? It is the ground type and no you haven't beaten me just yet. My ace is stronger than all of my Pokemon. Go Nidoqueen. This is a strong one. A very strong one. The skin is tough as iron and is properly washed. The muscles are compact and this is much speedier than the Nidoking, but its attacks will be no joke. Pikachu is too tired and Charmeleon hasn't gotten any opportunity to fight after sweeping Erica. Plus it had reached the ceiling of its power as a Charmeleon. It was still a bit green-thumbed in battle experience but that isn't a good enough excuse to not evolve. Plus Ash already had a Charizard much earlier and that thing was a beast. Comforting against Dragonite and Articulate. Go Charmeleon. Blaze. Overheat and Dragon Dances. Nidoqueen Earthquake. Blaze was the ability which I had trained to absolute perfection. Charmeleon can now activate Blaze on command with no side effects. Overheat increased the power of fire-type moves for a tiny bit and Dragon Dances mean as many Dragon Dances as you can pull off. Drill Run. The heat immediately increased to beyond the melting point of rock. Charmeleon was covered in an aura of fire and intention of destruction. The Nidoqueen didn't react and instead proceeded to use Earthquake. Charmeleon simply powered through and stood in its place using Dragon Dance. It was able to pull off 3 Dragon Dances before Nidoqueen charged at him with a Drill Run. Charmeleon took this opportunity to dodge and use a Judo Throw on Nidoqueen allowing it to fall face first into the ground before using Dragon Claw on its back. Nidoqueen easily recovered and caught the hand which Chameleon was using Dragon Claw with. Instead of being surprised Charmeleon used Dragon Claw with the other hand. Nidoqueen was thrown off by the sudden move shift and got hit by the Dragon Claw. Dragon Rush. Before Nidoqueen could recover, she saw Charmeleon perform a Dragon Dance and then prepare for a Dragon Rush. Outraged, Nidoqueen obliged its trainer's request and went into a rage and charged straight to Charmeleon. Charmeleon also rushed straight at her with Dragon Rush. The two met in a major explosion of earth and dust. When the dust settled you could see a very bruised Charmeleon standing over a fainted Nidoqueen. I had one yay. Charmeleon. Charmeleon was enveloped into a white light and grew wings and into an astonishing height of 2 meters. Charizard. Char. Yes. Take the badge. Was all I heard from Giovanni before he disappeared. He had left the Earth badge on the table. Well, a win is a win. Doesn't matter if he is annoyed or not.
And that's it for today. If you like the video, then just like it, subscribe the channel if you haven't, and turn on the bell icon for the upcoming videos. So this is it for the first episode, and we are going to be the second episode. At least I am going to post it tomorrow, I think. So you don't have to worry about it will like stop coming or something like that, but you just have to do one thing that I request. Please share this video with every one of your friends who want to be as Ketchum and travel in the Pokemon world and see the adventures which we like to see from our childhood to now.